Tá me go mai agus sa féin.
Tá
sé an flá?
Indeed. Any news?
No, quiet.
What's your plans for the weekend?
Oh, I'm going straight out home now for the boys.
Yes.
It says I'm going to make them pancakes today. It says so if they're listening, the pancakes. And I said to him, no, I'll make you pancakes. No, don't want no pancakes. But when I make them,
what does he want?
no, but he'll like them.
scavenge once
Oh,
they're
he'll
there.
have them. So and I was went shopping yesterday looking for pitted dates. I wanted to make these pear balls, mine with almond nuts and stuff.
Talking about them.
But
That's
they were
to feed
out.
birds or something,
They were
isn't it?
sold out. Everybody must be eating them. For the fibre and stuff.
So what do you make? You get a date?
You get, with dates, about 10 dates in your almonds. You crush them all up, a bit of vanilla essence.
Yes.
You can add some chocolate powder into it, I don't know the right name of it.
Yes.
But
if you were to eat it,
it's beautiful.
what's the closest?
Oh, it's just a lovely sweet treat, but it's full
a
of
Ferrero
goodness.
Rocher?
No, it's not like that. But it's
What's it
crunchy,
taste
nutty. What depends? It's sweet dates. There's nuts in it.
It sounds
vanilla
nice.
essence. It's lovely. You smell it. You can
And when are you going to bring one in?
I'll make a batch now when I get dates.
Don't make a batch. I want one.
That's all you're
make
getting,
me
sunshine.
batch.
That's all you're getting.
So you'll bring one in maybe.
But you can there's 5, you Google them on YouTube and they'll give you 5 different recipes.
Gooch's balls. I don't want the ones off the internet.
Do you know what if you see in the news feeds, I didn't read the story because it was a bit dodgy, but they were saying about drinking Pepsi and when you mentioned balls, right, they make them bigger.
What are you on about? Oh, right, okay, on that note.
Yeah. I didn't want to touch on that, but just when you said that, okay.
I was wondering what there was 14 litres of Coke in your
No, I don't
coffee.
drink that. Thank you very much. Coffee and water all the way to the bank. Can we have
All
good
right,
show
sunshine,
regular?
take care of yourself. And on that note, it is 9 o'clock. Our Friday panel is going to be joining us very shortly. We've got Catherine Noon, Paul Canning, Eamon McGee talking over some of the big stories of the day and week. But first at 9, let's get a news update, and it is over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council is being criticised for not informing families in advance of the decision to grant planning permission for the proposed development of the site of the Creeslough explosion. Bereaved families and their supporters are challenging the planning permission for the rebuilding of a service station and shop at the site of the blast. Matt McGranahan, who made one of the 31 submissions on the planning application, says the news is devastating and the families have been let down and ignored.
This is just the most devastating news. This is reliving the entire trauma of that fateful day all over again. It's a decision that was taken without any of the consideration of the family and to be in. And the families and the injured from this terrible tragedy have been victims ever since of broken promises. Their voices have not been heard. They have been promised that they would be put front and centre of all decisions, that their voices would be listened to and that their opinions taken on board. And all that has seemed to be just ignored. And this is a continuous cycle of just ignoring the families and their wishes for what they hope that site would be. That site is hallowed ground for the families.
There are now 263 homes and businesses without power in Donegal at the moment, 91 in Carndonagh with a predicted restoration time of 2 this afternoon. Meanwhile, in Derrybeg, 138 homes and businesses are without power. ESB Networks hope to have it restored shortly. It could be a matter of years before house prices start to drop, according to the Taoiseach. CSO figures yesterday found prices rose faster in 2024 than in the previous year. The government has struggled to respond to missing its own house completion targets last year. Speaking at the G20 summit in South Africa, Taoiseach Simon Harris said they do want a functioning, affordable housing market.
To do that, we do need to be getting to 50,000-60,000 homes a year. I was very honest with people during the general election. We need about 300,000 more homes over the next 5 years in this country. I believe when we get to there, we are going to start to see supply beginning to make serious inroads into demand. But there's no two ways about it. There's a very significant gulf at the moment.
Foyle MLA Mark H. Durkin says an infrastructure commission is needed to drive essential reforms for major capital projects. He says a commission is particularly necessary to ensure projects like the A5 and A6 are delivered on time and within budget. Last year, the NI Audit Office reported that Northern Ireland major capital projects would cost £2.45 billion more to complete than was originally estimated. Mr. Durkin raised the issue at the Assembly with the Deputy First Minister, Emma Little Pengelly.
Does the Deputy First Minister agree that doing nothing is not an option, and if we don't change how we do things, we won't change how things are done.
Absolutely. We want to improve the processes that we have to make sure that more and more of our capital projects are coming in on time and on budget. I think that the concept of an infrastructure commission is an interesting one, but no matter what we decide to do as the way forward, it must improve the way we do capital infrastructure rollout.
Wet and windy at first today with spells of occasionally heavy rain, some spot flooding as well. Brighter weather with a mix of sunshine and scattered showers will develop into the afternoon. Highest temperatures 10 to 13 degrees Celsius. In strong and gusty southerly winds, they'll veer southwest and clear somewhat with the clearance. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
There are endless stories for you and your little one to tell with You Choose books now in Happy Meal.
I know, let's build a spaceship. No, wait, a unicorn, or maybe a Viking
Some
ship.
fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Plus, get a free World Book Day token. Until the 25th of March from 11 a.m. while stocks last. Token valid 15th of Feb to 23rd of March 2025. Terms apply.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. A very good morning, in fact. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 21st of February, and it's the last 9 till noon show of the week, and it is, as always, a very busy one. I'll introduce our Friday panel to you very shortly, but first I want to invite you to get involved in the conversation. If you want to WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000, that is your WhatsApp and text number, or if you prefer, give us a call 07491 25,000, and emails come in to us via comments@highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the show at home on YouTube, on your smart TV or Fire Stick, just put in Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube, and we're with you on Facebook and on the X platform as well. Okay, I want to say good morning first to Catherine Noon, lawyer and former Fine Gael senator. Good morning to you, Catherine. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Good morning, Greg.
It's great to have you with us. Paul Canning, Councillor Paul Canning, a councillor in the Inishowen Municipal District. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Greg, and to all your listeners.
And Eamon McGee, former inter-county footballer, columnist, an analyst at Gaelica. I mean, is there no end to your talents, Eamon?
It's me that came up with that tag there, Greg. So
is it? All right.
They have to edit it for the length of it now.
Okay, it's great to have.
Greg, how's things?
It's great to have you on the show. Thank you very much indeed. Obviously, one of the big emerging stories in our area and indeed nationally across the country is the planning decision being made as it relates to the Creeslough, the site of the Creeslough tragedy. It's a very difficult subject to comment on. I understand that because it's so sensitive, and there are people who have a passing interest in it, and then there are those that are so deeply, deeply affected by it. So with that in mind, we did learn that families of the victims of the Creeslough disaster have said they plan to challenge every aspect of the permission granted to redevelop the site of the explosion in which 10 people were tragically killed. The council has approved the development of a new petrol station and other businesses on the location of the tragedy that struck on October 7th, 2022. The plans, which were originally submitted last April, also include a small space for a memorial garden as well as a proposed memorial lighted feature. Now, my understanding is there wasn't actual consultation with the families in relation to how their loved ones would be marked in that regard. Relatives have called the proposals inappropriate. How can this be solved as the company behind the application seem intent to continue? And even if it's appealed in front of An Bord Pleanála, it's probably only planning matters that may be considered. I'm not sure of the ins and outs of all of that, but I'll start with you, Councillor Paul Canning. Well, what's your view on all of this?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Well, you sort of hit the nail on the head when you introduced it. Like it is a planning application. It's a live application, so we need to be careful that we're not sub judice here. It's the families are taking it to the board. So I have to leave, the situation with me being a local councillor and with the profession that I'm in, I would have to sort of refrain from giving an opinion insofar as, let the application take its course, it's going to on board Penala by what you're after saying there. So, like, I don't want to in any way interfere with decisions that may be made or that could come back when there would be maybe a judicial review or anything taken on it. So they could come back to this show and they could be saying you had a professional on that was also a local councillor that could have given swayed it either way. So I can't really make a comment on it. And apologies to the listeners for that.
No, that's perfectly understandable. And as I say, it is incredibly complex. And I think your stated position there talks to that. Catherine Noon, what's your feelings?
Well, I'd concur with Paul's comments in the sense that I'm a lawyer and I know the implications of speaking about something that is sub judice and a process that is in train. But the one thing I'll say is to come back to something that you mentioned in your comments. The last thing you said was about consultation with the families. And, you know, I think questions would need to be asked as to whether there has been sufficient consultation with the families. I mean, there is a commercial reality for that company, which has to be recognised. But definitely, I would think that the families, you know, it's an extreme tragedy. And the families, you know, have to be at the front and centre of consideration when it comes to that site. And I mean, it is nice to hear that there's a garden proposed, but that's probably doesn't feel sufficient for the families.
I think if you saw the artist's impression of that garden, Catherine, that might hammer home that point of view. I know you're disadvantaged by it.
And I've been away, and I haven't really. And I just heard it in the media, and I haven't read into it. Mm-hmm. But I would say that on a kind of a cursory look at it, there's not enough being done to accommodate the family, just on a human level, and the families, and you know, and I don't want to say anything about the process, like Paul said. I totally concur with that, but just on a human level. It's you know, I'm repeating myself.
I do understand, and I introduced it in the way I did because I understand that. And you know, you talk of the process, and I think it's what can hurt the most is the fact that people find out about the planning in the media. And there is no
a simple bit of careful communication with the family could go an awful long way in a situation like this. And like everything in life, how you communicate a problem, how you communicate with people and take care to be considerate of their side of things, you know, that goes a huge way in life. And, you know, I think that says it all.
Yeah, Eamon McGee, brief comment from you on this issue.
I personally think it's extremely crass, and I just think that I would be very disappointed with the way and which is handled now. You know, you talk about the human aspect of it, and for them not to have been consulted, for them to find out in media is just so wrong. And from a pragmatic, maybe, you know, as Catherine alluded there, the business aspects, you know, that's the world we live in. They have to be looked at regardless of what happened. But the fact that there's still an investigation going in terms of what actually happened there, and they've already put plans in place to move on with the shop, I just beggars belief now, and I think it's really, really, really crass.
It feels, I know, having spoken to many of them, there's a cart before the horse here thing, in that they're having to sort of deal with the possibility of the site being redeveloped, but still awaiting answers as to how this happened at all. But I'm sure listeners have plenty to say on that, and we'll get to those comments over the course of the morning. And we may return to that. But moving on for now, and I'll stay with you, Eamon, on this, because Garda have significantly relaxed fitness requirements for joining the forces. It struggles to recruit new members. The government has set really quite ambitious targets, some would say. Prospective Gardaí will no longer have to perform any... Prospective Gardaí will no longer have to perform any sit-ups or push-ups to gain admission to the Garda Síochána, or to the Garda College. Sorry, Catherine, please. I'm trying to keep it together here, please. So, prospective Gardaí will no longer have to perform any sit-ups or push-ups to gain admission to the college. The requirements for the bleep test, which requires candidates to run repeatedly between 2 points 20 metres apart in a set time, have also been relaxed. And the varying standards for male, female, younger and older candidates have also been replaced with a single standard for all candidates. So, Eamon McGee, is this a step in the right direction to attract more recruits, or what kind of a level of fitness in a force are we assembling?
I don't agree. I don't agree with this at all. And I think, it's to get, because they're struggling to get numbers. I think there's other areas in which they can promote. They can look after the Guardian in other ways, and make it a better work environment, make it easier for them to do their job. But there has to be some kind of physical, as I say, literacy here. And it goes back to the argument. I think nowadays there's a kind of physical health isn't as respected, in terms of, we have an expectation where we have to, maths literacy, we have to start, we should be able to read. And for some reason, physical and all the benefits and all that, we're not saying, we should be built like Michael Murphy and able to jump 6 feet or whatever like that. But there has to be some limit in terms of that. And if you're a Gardaí, if you're a Garda and you're out in the forefront of what's happening, and in terms of crime and all that, and having to deal with people, then you should be able to do what's been outlined there.
I think these changes must be evidence based, and I can't help but imagine, the goodwill of those people that have signed up and want to be recruits, and going down and being unable to do the sit-ups or the press-ups, and then the instructors looking at each other and going, right, well, what do we do here? That's fed up back up the line, and then they decide to relax the fitness. I mean, it has to be, to come out with something like this, it has to be sort of based on evidence that there are people willing to enter the force, but they can't do the sit-ups.
Oh yeah, they're like, I know people that are willing, and they just, the fact that there is them type of tests that puts them off. So there definitely been some kind of feedback, but you have to, in my opinion, be of some physical condition to be in that job, and it's something I definitely wouldn't agree on.
Catherine Noon, come in there.
Well, I think it's absolutely, this is just more nonsense. At the end of the day, there are very specific requirements in whatever guidelines they have to recruit guards that are stopping them recruiting guards in certain circumstances. And they've clearly looked at it and thought it's ridiculous that they have to be able to do a certain amount of press-ups and push-ups and whatever other stuff. Nobody's going to want to be a guard unless they have a certain level of fitness, and certainly a guard that's out on the beat with crime. Now, the reality is that guards do an awful lot of different functions. And, it's only a pity that more of them aren't on the streets. So anything that will get more human beings into the Garda Síochána. And this is clearly, I think you were alluding to this, Greg, this is clearly something where they have found that there's something stopping recruitment in certain circumstances, and they're finding a way to unblock that. Now, I 100% agree with Eamon that people should be healthy in the Gardaí. I go to Oisin O'Flaherty's gym in Buncrana as any morning I can, and there's a whole crew of people, and I'm so impressed. I'm not from Donegal, but I'm so impressed with Donegal people and the level of fitness. I'm generalizing, but there's so much outdoor activity, sports, everything. I'm a total proponent of healthy living, but this is just an example of where they have found a blockage and they're trying to unblock it.
And you agree with that, Catherine?
Totally agree with it. If you're putting people on the beat, they need to be fit. But if you have somebody at a desk, which an awful lot of guards are in headquarters elsewhere, it just needs, I would think that they did some of research into their own situation and how they'll get more guards into the force. And they've come up with a blockage, and they still want people to be fit. They're not going to be having people who are, hardly able to walk for the want of fitness in the guards. We just need to be a bit sensible about things in this country and get the job done. We need more guards. Find a way to get more guards.
Mm. Yeah, but you talked about sitting at desks and all, but there's lots of other stuff as well. I don't know how tough it was to get in, but they're getting rid of sit-ups and push-ups altogether.
Well,
From my understanding, Greg, sorry, Catherine, cut across, the test isn't overly hard now. I think if you're at a decent level, I'd say you could do it yourself, Greg.
Do you think I could do it?
I would put you in the category that you would go on there now with very little training and be able to do it.
Right, just to get a sense of what we're talking about here.
I think Eamon's probably saying that once somebody has a certain level of fitness, like they're not, if somebody isn't totally unfit. But I mean, and if that's the case, well, that's a different story. But the way this question is written, it's like push-ups and press-ups. I mean, that's not necessarily. Some men are very inflexible and they find it hard to do certain exercises, but they might be very strong. And if they were on the beat, they'd be well able to cope. So I just think there's more to it than meets the eye, and it's not as simplistic as push-ups and press-ups. You know, that's all I'm saying.
But you would have to. But how do you ensure then that people can do 10 kilometers on the beat up and down Letterkenny Main Street, or if
nothing surer than if somebody does it 10 times, they're going to be better able to do it the 11th, 12th and 13th time. I mean, if you're on the beat walking around, which I wish there were more guards walking around the streets, they get fit by walking around. I mean, let's just be sensible about things. We need more guards.
Right. Paul Canning, what's your view?
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree with Catherine there and both the previous speakers. I think
they don't agree with each other, so you're gonna have to pick one.
In part with both, I think we need to categorise the role that they will be doing after they're qualified. So it needs to come into the qualification and paid accordingly, because we as Catherine said, we do need more Gardaí on the street, as you would hear councillor after councillor asking for them, and they need to be able to perform on the street. But we also have a number of people in the back room doing work that nobody else really wants to do.
Yeah, I think the intention though is to get more of those civilians doing more of those roles. So I think really the future of the force is that uniformed Gardaí are out and about as much as is possible. And
see, that's why I'm asking about the categorization of it. Whenever you go to get qualified as your Gardaí, are you on the beat? Are you going to be working behind an office, or are you going to? Because we have and we are very much promoters of the whole disabled scenario, and we don't want to be creating a situation where you need to be Mr. Fit to even think about going in the direction of the Gardaí. Okay. So we have to bear that in mind. So I think we need to. There is more to it. There are obviously more to it than the sit-ups and the press-ups, but we do need an element of fitness.
So, but is there any concern right at the moment? Okay, and I'm just throwing out there for the purpose of the conversation. At the moment, we're told that morale in the forces is quite low at the moment. Is there any concern that morale could fall further if people that want their colleagues to be fit, or as fit as them, or as motivated or committed as them in a physical way, could be, feel a bit peed off, or their morale could fall further if they're working with people that, perhaps aren't as active as they believe they are, or is that a nonsense? Eamon, do you think there's anything? Paul, go ahead. Yeah.
I think there's a nervousness within the whole Garda on the beat situation, because and Catherine would be more qualified enough because of the lawyer background, but I think there's a nervousness now where you could be taken up for anything if you go if you're a single guard and you go to attend a situation and you do the wrong thing, you say the wrong thing, you're on social media within a couple of minutes. That nervousness is there, and the guards now need to go in pairs and couple up to go to even the smallest of incidents, and that is putting people off the recruitment as much as anything else, to be saying, well, listen,
that's of course. But when I know you talked about people with disabilities and what have you, but there is a certain standard of ability one must have at the moment to enter on Garda Síochána. So whilst I'm not contradicting what you're saying, but is there not a certain level of commitment to your own well-being that you should have that would make you a good candidate for Garda Síochána?
Well,
go ahead, Catherine.
Well, I mean, why are we picking on the guards? Like, what about the nurses? I mean, what about the teachers? What about the civil servants? You perform better at any job if you're fit.
Thank God you didn't mention councillors, Catherine.
Sorry, councillors, listen, Paul, you need to keep your fitness up now because if your work cut out for you. But, like, in all fairness, let's bring a bit of reality to the debate in the sense that we need more guards. Any measure that gets more guards into the force and in terms of numbers is a good thing.
Okay.
We need to create a culture of health and fitness in the country generally, in the guards, in every area. I totally agree with Eamon's point about, people have to have a level of fitness for the guards. I can't imagine somebody even going for the guards if they were a big lump and sitting on the couch all day. It's not a career, you're not going to go and be an aeronautical engineer if you're, have absolutely
Yes,
no
but there's
mind.
clearly enough people applying that aren't able to perform what's there at the moment, Catherine, for it to be changed.
Well, then clearly it probably does need to be changed a bit.
Okay,
It needs to be relaxed a bit. That's the point.
All right, then.
And put certain people on the beach, you put certain people, you need more people. Once you have a critical mass of more people in the guards, that will improve things for the guards and then create a culture of fitness in the guards,
Okay, Eamon, haven't listened to more from Catherine and Paul there. What's just to finish up with you on this?
No, just to come in your last point there, that there's a level of people applying for the guards that obviously haven't reached or haven't been able to pass the physical, and I think that's on them, and I think the responsibility should be put on them. Again, it comes back to the point about physical fitness. If you're physically feeling good about yourself, there's so much benefits about it, and I would rather a guard in a certain, again, we're not looking for rip conditions and able to run 5 miles without stopping, but we're looking for a certain level here, and I think that there should be a pushback in this.
I want to live in a country where we bring people along with us and you get people into the force and you create a culture for those people where they get fitter and they are better. They clearly want to be guards. So find a way for them to be guards. That's the kind of country I want to live in.
Okay, listen, thank you both for that. Just a couple of comments here. Hi, Greg. The fitness test to join the Gardaí is silly, especially when after recruitment there are no ongoing fitness requirements. There's many Gardaí out there who couldn't run the length of themselves. More importantly, Gardaí extensive training in the law. Another, I think the recruitment issue is more than likely the simple fact that people don't want to be guards. It's not exactly well paid, though the starting salary is €37,500 plus overtime and bonuses potentially, which I think's pretty good. But anyway, it's not exactly well paid. Most people haven't respected the guards for nearly 2 decades now. You're just seen as a dope who does nothing but sit at checkpoints being a nuisance. I think that's I don't think that's a fair framing of the general population's view on Garda Síochána. I think most people still understand that, when you're in bother, those are the people that you call in, and there is a decent level of respect. Just quickly on that one, Eamon, do you think there's a just in the general population?
My brother's retired now, so I'm biased in terms of when I give the opinion on this now, but yeah, I definitely don't see. I totally dispute what that texter said in terms of the respect and people sitting at checkpoints looking to catch people out. I think we should be past that thinking and seeing them as a support. And if you needed them, this is what people want. They want more guards on the ground, on the likes of Dublin, on the likes of Letterkenny streets, and this is what they want rather than giving out about them setting up checkpoints or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. But I think in the general population, Catherine Noon, there is a general high respect for Garda Síochána, or am I being naive?
I think there's a general lack of respect for people generally in Ireland now.
Well, that's quite true.
And like politicians get a huge lack of respect, Paul. I think you'll agree with that. Lawyers get disrespect, but loads of people get disrespect, and guards are in the front line, so they definitely get disrespect. But they are doing one of the most difficult jobs that you could do, and a lot of them are doing them. And I totally agree with Eamon's comments, 100%. It's nice to be able to fully agree with you, Eamon. But
we'll see for the rest of the show.
We'll see. I think I'm going to disagree again. But,
you don't have a brother or sister who's a politician, Eamon? No, that would help.
Yeah, it might get no, I'm not looking for sympathy for politicians.
No, of course
that would never happen in life. But I'm just saying that there is a level of disrespect, even if you look at Twitter. You know, if you get personal with people online, or
Yeah, but you see,
otherwise,
that's my point. I don't.
losing the argument.
I
You're
don't.
losing
I don't believe like it's a tiny minority of people in Ireland use Twitter, and I
agree.
don't think that's who we are. You see, that's the.
Yeah, but I know, I've lived it, so
I suppose I can't. Yeah,
there
exactly.
is a lot of disrespect.
I
for
can't walk in
especially
your shoes. You've
female-
done it. Yeah.
especially for female politicians. But I didn't mean to make it about because you asked a different question.
No, it's all perfectly fine.
But I do think that there is a level of disrespect for women in society, in public life, that men don't have to put up with, and I do think that's a big concern, and I can imagine it's a concern for female guards as well, because there's just a different level. There's just a different level of disrespect when it comes to women. But that's off point.
No. I've seen the videos of a female guard and the commentaries about whether she's wearing makeup or not, or
And
the
gendered
shape,
language,
or
gendered language, and inappropriate language, and you know, it's across the board. And I'd love to come on sometime and have a good chat with you about
Yeah,
all
for
of that.
sure. No, it's definitely something we want to.
Serious issue. Yeah.
Right, okay. It is the 9 till noon show. We have our Friday panel, and we're going to be moving on to more topics after we take a quick break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The Nissan Duke is now available as a hybrid with an outrageously stylish exterior and a smooth, quiet drive. But that's not all. Buy a 251 Nissan Duke Hybrid and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan Duke Hybrid for free. Don't miss out. This extraordinary offer is available for a very limited time. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
At My Home, we hate complicated. That's why our new app now offers a great range of features like our enhanced map search, access to My Home Eco Rating, as well as our all-important property email alerts, which means you have everything you need to find your new home right in the palm of your hand. Download the new My Home app today.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Shannon Airport has officially been voted Ireland's favourite airport.
Which was great to hear. Mind you, we've actually always thought we had handy parking, famously short queues, a great bunch of people, seamless security, and a list of amazing destinations to fly to. So really, it's just nice to know everybody else agrees. Officially Ireland's favourite airport. You can't really argue with that. Shannon Airport. Making it easy.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 9:31. In regards to Garda, Eamon is right. We need to be looking at the real reasons that people aren't enticed into the Guards. That's the work conditions. Anyone that wants to be a guard is not, it's not the fitness stopping them. They'll train if needs be, but it's the way guards are treated, the lack of investment by government, etc. That caller believes. Teachers don't have to chase criminals. It's not the same. There should be a fair level of fitness within the Gardaí, says another. I think if a Garda is called upon, they should be able to get on their feet and run. But I suppose not being able to do sit-ups or press-ups doesn't mean you can't run either. President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky have entered a war of words after the US leader initiated talks with Russia about ending the conflict, but did not include Ukraine. After Zelensky said Trump was in a disinformation space, Trump called Zelensky a dictator, a remark condemned by Kyiv's allies. And since then, Mrs. Trump, Elon Musk, has really gone after Zelensky. But anyway, Zelensky and Trump have traded barbs in the past. Zelensky normally tried to toe a diplomatic line with Trump, but that line's getting more and more difficult to tread. I suppose, more generally, I'll start with you, Catherine, if that's all right. What's your views on Donald Trump's intervention in trying to end the war?
we have to be careful what we say. Yeah, I was on a show with Enda Brady in the UK yesterday talking about this very issue, and like, we just have to be very careful what we say, because we're dealing with a man who has the, maturity of a 4-year-old. So, at the end of the day, I mean, all of this just blows my mind. Now, there is a level on which, in a realistic way, Donald Trump is there's a very good chance that Donald Trump / America will achieve some sort of resolution in the area. So that's, I nearly hate to say that, but I think it could be a result of Trump's intervention. I think that is a distinct possibility. But everything else around it is just so hard to take from a geopolitical point of view. I think it's enormously damaging, the rhetoric all around this. And, relations between Europe and America have gone back to to the Second World War. I mean, it's not an extreme statement to say that. So this is all very worrying, and I'm going to be very careful what I say, because the last thing I need is some clip of me saying something about Trump going viral and blowing up the Taoiseach's visit to the White House, because he's quite simply able to react to something small and decide, oh, actually, the Taoiseach's not coming to the White House. So we have to be careful what we say.
Did you not call him a 4-year-old? I'm only joking. Right,
Did I? I said
Caroline, clip that and tag in Elon Musk. Good stuff. Thanks. Eamon,
Trump, be happy with me.
Eamon, what do you think? You see, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we're so far removed from the front line. And everyone in Ukraine at some point or other knows someone that's died. It could be their sons, and I've got 2 fighting age sons, as I said in the show yesterday. So, I have to be, when I'm thinking about this, I have to be conscious of that too. But also, Russia said we're going to have Kyiv in a couple of days. They didn't. Kyiv has held them back. They've succeeded. Arguably Trump has succeeded. Not Trump, but Putin has succeeded. Maybe this can be framed in a win-win and end the awful loss of life. And if well, actually, I won't put words in Catherine's mouth, but if Trump gets the credit for it and he's the driver for it, well, then maybe so be it. I don't know. What's your view, Eamon?
Right, it's to be welcomed that he's looking to stop the fighting. I think they're at an impasse there with Ukraine and Russia. Probably, if it's played out, would eventually win the war or whatever. But they seem to be at an impasse at the moment. Lots of needless life. But the price to be paid for Trump getting that peace deal is unconscionable. That he's willing to get into bed with Putin, who, despite what some commentary that goes out there, that Putin is a crook. How he came to power, what he did when this USSR was divvied up in terms of how he gave out the public companies. Putin he's a mafia. It's a mafia state. Trump is getting into bed and taking the side. He's come out heavy against Zelensky, calling him a dictator, saying we should have elections, saying they started the war, and it's just a total. We're in such a new territory in terms of the new world order, how we go forward. It's I just I wouldn't be worried at all what we say in terms of how we
I
insult
have to
Trump.
be careful what I say as a former politician.
Yeah. I get that. But in terms of what Trump's going about, and it's interesting.
But I'm not defending Putin, Eamon. But we have. We don't know him personally, and I don't think we've walked the streets of Moscow and talked to Moscovians or Russian people. We have, I think a lot of us really, we've been presented with what Donald Trump with what Putin actually is. Is it not possible that maybe Russia and he is somewhere in between how he's portrayed in the press and how Trump is portraying him?
No. Like all you have to do is read a history book here in terms of what Putin is and what he Putin. He's gone after not just jail journalists, but journalists have been killed There is a lot of proof. No, sorry, no, a lot of talk to say that Putin there was bombing in Chechnya in terms of apartment that was actually a false flag. There's a lot of good, and it's not just internet talk, but there's a lot of good word to say that was actually done from within Moscow. And if you go through what Putin has done,
the evidence is there, you suggest, to sort of back up how he's framed internationally.
100% it is, Greg. I mean, seriously, are we going to really try and make the case that Putin is some sort of a misunderstood Russian?
But I think there are lots of people listening that are listening to Donald Trump and believe Donald Trump's framing of him, and if we converse about it, we all learn a little bit.
Disinformation.
Of course, yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not taking a pro Putin side here.
I know you're not.
But what I'm saying,
you are in a way suggesting that.
Yes,
somehow...
but we've got the leader of the free world that believes it was really effectively. That believes it was Ukraine and NATO who effectively saber rattled to the point that Putin had to do something. I mean, he is the man in the White House.
That takes aside the character of the man and the history. Like, fair enough, that is a point. But at the end of the day, I agree 100% with Eamon on this. Like, there's no disputing this. This is not up for debate. There are things in this debate that are up for debate, but Putin's record as an individual, as a politician...
No, well, listen, like when I see... Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and the two are inseparable now, and they talk about Zelensky and dictatorship and elections and everything. Well, that's fantastic. Now do Putin. Let's see what your view of Putin and how he's ruled in Russia.
Yeah. Paul, I'd love to hear them say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But they won't.
Elon Musk talks about how we should be trying to preserve by becoming an interplanetary species. One of the biggest threats to world peace at the minute is Putin, and how he's destabilized the European thing, how he's just destabilized the world order. And we're as close now to nuclear war than... Sorry, Catherine, go on, yeah.
And I did an interparliamentary delegation to Georgia 10 years ago, or 12, and they were worried about disinformation from Russia then. And it's been an issue for decades. And Russia, this has been a long campaign for Russia. They don't want any of their neighbors having anything to do with Europe. They're looking to America to destabilize Europe. That's been an effective strategy for them.
And if that is their goal, if they are the puppet master, they're doing an incredible job in relation to that. Councillor Paul Canning, what's your take on all of this?
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, listen, I agree with the situation with the information. We're getting information nowadays every 10 minutes, and I would say Trump is the most mentioned name probably in the world at the minute. It's strange in one sense, where you have Donald Trump, the economist, and doing sort of trying to get all the economy right in America, and then he has a world opinion, and as they say, he's been into bed with Putin. But it's down. I think it's Ukraine. I think it's the mineral content in Ukraine still has a play in it. It's their gas, and it's their oil, and it's their zinc and silver and all that they're going after. And I think, and that's where
Trump wants half of it. He said right.
China has also got involved in backing those two guys, because they are the main suppliers of that rare earth material, mineral. So they don't want to lose that, where they're supplying the world with that. So they know that Ukraine has that content within it. So I think there's a wee bit of that too going on, that it's all about power and money as much as, and there's a wee bit of poker being played by Trump and Putin to see who... it's just that we have access to nearly all of the negotiations and the conversations and all of that. And probably if you went back to World War I and World War II, there probably was the same carry on going on, but we didn't have access to that information. But we do have it now, and that information is changing on the air everywhere, and we're trying to then sort of dilute it to see what is. and we're not getting the right information half the time.
Catherine, I take it you believe that Micheál Martin should go to the White House.
I do, and this nonsense about the White House, it doesn't make any sense.
But is that not? Again, someone said this last week, and it feels a wee bit like we're being. Everyone's been so critical of Donald Trump and his interaction with Putin and squeezing Europe and all that stuff. What is the function then of going over and
no matter what, Greg, right? Like Israel recently closed their embassy in Dublin. That's just shooting themselves in the foot. Like it's not really affecting us. So like the point I'm making is that diplomacy is about keeping lines of communications open. We didn't vote for the president of the United States, but we still have to have a relationship with America. We still have to, insofar as we can, deal with the man, and he is a man who, if you had a good personal relationship with him, you could actually achieve a lot. That he is that simplistic about life, so in a sense. So I would be 100% a proponent of all communication interaction that could achieve good things for Ireland, and we have a unique opportunity and a unique place in the world in that we have that audience, we have that space. They're like, I don't know how many of the ministers are going to all over the world and more places than ever in the States, and people think, oh, they're off on a junket. They work like dogs on those trips, and make no mistake about that. They work like dogs. It's a good opportunity for them. It's nice to do it, whatever, but they work like dogs, and they fly the flag for Ireland day in, day out, all day, and it is very effective, and let nobody say otherwise.
I mean, you're happy enough for Micheál Martin to go over to Putin, given all that's ongoing and that has been said?
Go over to Trump now.
Yeah, for a visit on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I've kind of weighed it up now, given it a kind of cursory thought, and I don't see the advantages of staying out of the room, and I'd rather us be in the room and maybe having an input then. But again, I would need to sit down and weigh that all up now.
Yeah, well, the mics will be on, and it might be an opportunity. I wouldn't be. Here's a little prediction for you: if this is mic'd up, that Donald Trump slaps Micheál Martin down on the world stage and says something negative about the leadership of this country or the companies in it. Mark my words, on a live mic, if that opportunity presents itself, Donald Trump will do that, and we'll see how beneficial it was then.
Well, the situation, you take Letterkenny alone, the amount of people that are employed through American companies and direct foreign investment. So that's what Micheál Martin's going over to America.
Either Trump or Elon Musk will show him up. Wait till you see.
No, hold on a second. Micheál Martin is a way more experienced politician than Donald Trump. And Micheál Martin he has navigated a lot more difficult stuff. And I would have great faith in his ability to go over there.
Oh, no, I don't question his ability. What I'm questioning is the opportunity that Trump or Elon Musk will tweet while he's over there, or it'll be...
But sure, how can we can't legislate for what those...
Okay, well, we'll see what the fallout, if it happens, what the fallout will be and how it might...
But just to go back to the point that we talked about, and I think couldn't emphasize it enough, that how wrong this is, that we have Russia and the USA in a room talking about a peace process without the Ukraine, without Europe, and look to divvy up Ukraine as if it's some wee project that they can work on. And we're living in a world where we're seeing daily images of Gaza. The same thing, you go back to the Pikes and Seco thing where they divvied up the Middle East, and you thought, right, that's the time,
couldn't happen now.
Product of the time, and you thought we'll come on a wee bit, and we're doing the exact same thing. Two of the biggest superpowers in the world are in it, talking about a peace process without the country that is most affected.
And on the sidelines, Donald Trump saying to Zelensky, "Cop yourself on, or you'll have no country. Left to fight over." So it is. We are living in remarkable times, and we'll have more comments from our guests after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Right now, at B&Q, painting just got cheaper. Save big on brands like Dulux and Lick. With incredible savings across selected interior paint, you can transform your space for less. Shop in-store or online at diy.ie. Hurry, ends 3rd of March. You can do it when you B&Q it. Subject to availability. See diy.ie for details.
Shop Homeland's February mega deals now at your local Homeland or online at homeland.ie. Barry's or Lions 600 tea bags now €19.99, save €4. Grozone Max Greenhouse now only €99, save €50. JFC calf slats 900 by 1200mm now €105, save €21. All this and more until the 23rd of February only. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Whether they're on holiday, watching TV, eating a family meal.
Put it down.
It seems teenagers just refuse to put down their phones. But help is at hand.
Because Fundamania is in Derry.
Real thrills, real fun, outside in the fresh air.
Fundamania Derry at the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th to March 17th.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands. Turn screen time into scream time. Details at fundamania.co.uk.
The Dolan family present Remembering Joe, a celebration of the life of Joe Dolan at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, this Saturday, 22nd of February. Tickets priced at €30 and are available from the hotel reception, with overnight packages also available. That's this Saturday at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be speaking to Paul Kelly of Harcourt Technologies Limited about 3D construction printing, and also looking forward to Local Enterprise Week here in Donegal. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Local Enterprise Week is organised by Local Enterprise Office Donegal in association with their enterprise partners. From Monday the 3rd to Friday the 7th of March, it's all about inspiring you to believe when starting, growing or scaling a business. Over 20 events across Donegal. To see the lineup and to book, visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal or call 9160735.
A caller says, morning Greg, we need Trump here to clean out the corruption in Ireland. Donald Trump stands up for his people, not like our government throwing people on the street. I think it's very important, regardless of whether voices are coming from Liberal, Conservative, left or right, that you actually do your own research in relation to that. And God knows we heard enough about that over the last few years. In that, what's the motivation? Who's in it? The billionaires are getting richer and richer in the United States. The cost of living for the people of the United States is going up and up. Elon Musk is securing record contracts from the US government as he sits beside Donald Trump. It's a billionaire, the richest man in the world, getting richer all of the time. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but make sure you dig a little bit deeper and fully brief yourself on everything that's going on. Right, a few people actually already texting in before we got to it. Planning rules on cabins and modular homes in back gardens could be relaxed. This is part of government efforts to tackle the housing supply issues. Under current regulations, extensions of up to 40 square metres to a home can be built without planning permission. I'm sure there's a little bit more to it than that. But anyway, habitable structures of this size must have approval if they're not attached to the home itself. Under a proposal being developed in the Department of Housing, planning exemptions are being considered, which would exempt freestanding, modular or cabin-style homes from planning permission. Sinn Féin says they wouldn't want them used for rental. What's your views on the plans, Councillor Paul Canning?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Listen, it'll be whatever's in the small print, the detail. The devil's going to be in the detail. Just for clarity on the exempted that we have, if you have a dwelling that has exempted development at the back, the 40 square metres, it's not just that simple. You're 40 square metres, you have to leave a garden at 25 square metres. You have to be 2 metres from the boundary. You have to be 10 metres from a septic tank and 10 metres from a percolation area. And you have to have no overlooking windows in your neighbour. It has to be 11 metres away. You have all that criteria. So even if they turn around and say, right, we're giving you exempted development here, you'll discover that it'll be very difficult to meet that exempted development especially within towns where they want to, because they're going to be connected to a main sewer. It's going to be difficult for a person there. So I would really, I wouldn't pay much heed to that at the minute. I think it's just it's
like how many backyards in Letterkenny, Buncrana or Donegal Town could accommodate one or two bed cabins?
As a council, we have a policy, right? Just to be clear, we have a policy that we brought in there in the last development plan that allows you to build a block behind the house, but you have to get planning, but it has to be ancillary to the house. So if you want to do a granite flat, or you want to do you can do that, and you can have a shared entrance depending on the vision lines and the intensification of the entrance, but you have to upgrade maybe your septic tank, and you can connect into the one septic tank if it meets the population equivalent. So we're already at that space. The only thing we're doing is we're showing consideration to our neighbours. I don't see this running, to be quite honest with you. It's not going to work. It's
All
just
right.
I think that's my honest
No, well,
opinion.
you're coming in from an architectural point of view, and
the EPA, you have the EPA, you have the Roads Authority, you have a lot of other items that haven't even been mentioned yet. So I don't see it happening.
You don't see it as a runner. Catherine Noonan, I beg your pardon?
Well, I think the point is that what's being suggested here is that the unit isn't attached, that it's in your back garden, but it's not attached to the house. That's the main change that's been proposed. Paul would have a much better understanding of this than me as a professional in the area. But I hear a minister who's newly elected, a 37-year-old TD, coming into his role, trying to come up with some ideas that could help young people, for example, have a bit of independence from their parents. If they're, Paul highlighted all of the physical considerations. But if it's feasible and it makes sense, well then, surely it is a sensible solution for young people to not be living with their parents, to be able to save potentially and then move out.
Okay.
We're in a very extreme situation when it comes to housing. So, and straight away the reaction from the opposition was to slap this down, which is fair enough. But by about lunchtime yesterday, it was clear from Joe Duffy and that, the public actually think it's a good idea. And I would have thought in Donegal in particular, it's a very good idea because of the Micah situation. And, it's not, the minister said as well, it's not a silver bullet. He doesn't think it's a panacea. It's just an idea.
Might suit some people.
To try and help to ease things.
Okay.
And,
I just have to move along, Catherine. I appreciate your time so much. Eamon, just briefly to you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, just remember that this is coming off the back of the previous government's their failure to meet the targets, which only came out coincidentally after the election. The fact that they didn't meet their targets now, but the way they've went at it obviously hasn't worked, and I kind of appreciate the fact that they're thinking outside the box here. I don't think, in terms of, as Paul talked about it, the devil's in the detail in terms of once this is out in the open and we dig a wee bit deeper now. But I would hate to be in a situation where this becomes the norm, where this becomes the norm in terms of, for them young people who cannot get a house, who cannot buy a house for love nor money, and it's just, there's a modular home there, go and raise your kids. So
okay.
I'm reluctant to truly buy into it.
We'll have to see. It's like the devil.
I welcome the fact that they're thinking outside the box.
Listen, Eamon McGee, Catherine Noon, Councillor Paul Canning, all three of you, thank you so very much. I wish we had another hour, but we don't. Have a lovely... Yes, go ahead.
Just for clarity there, Greg, you can do that in Donegal if you go for planning permission, and we did a modular homes idea, a modular house idea with a 30-degree pitch in your roof. We are doing that, but we are in keeping with the dwellings that are around it. So
considering that you can do it, but there has to be consideration for neighbours through the process.
Exactly.
All right, brilliant stuff. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Eamon.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Coming to the Inishowen Gateway Hotel March 28th, the hilarious comedy duo The Three Bucks. From the RTE hit show The Hardy Bucks. Tickets are €20 available at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel website. With a warm-up act and live music after the show, this is not to be missed.
Transform your space with McCafferty Tiles Bala Buffet. Specialising in large format and designer tiles, we offer expert installation and free design consultation in our showroom or on site. Let us bring your vision to life with bespoke recommendations. Call 086 242 3604 or find us on Facebook and Instagram. McCafferty Tiles Bala Buffet, showroom by appointment.
Vision for next cap revealed. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, don't miss your first glimpse at plans for the next cap and what it could mean for your farm payment. Beef prices break €7 per kilo barrier. Latest on the row over ICBF star ratings. Farmers livid over forestry storm damage response. TB herd incidence pushes past 6% mark. And we have key advice on how to prepare for a pre-planning meeting with your county council in our planning permission special. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
Get the right tools or equipment to get any job sorted with the great weekend deal at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Hire any tools or equipment on a Friday for 1 day and they're yours to use until Monday. 3 days hire for the price of one at Watson Hire every weekend. Get the job done and dusted with this great weekend hire deal at Watson Hire Lisnanen in Letterkenny. Call 916-7777 or see watsonhire.ie.
Finn Harps play their first home game of the 2025 League of Ireland First Division campaign this Friday. Dundalk, one of the title favourites, will provide the opposition at Finn Park. We'll have regular updates with Dermot Doherty on Highland Radio this Friday from 7:45pm kickoff in Ballabufey. Finn Harps on Highland is in association with BNS Credit Union Ballabufey, where they have the perfect holiday loan for you. Don't delay, get your holiday loan today. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so wet and windy to begin today with spells of occasional heavy rain with some spot flooding possible. Brighter weather with a mix of sunshine and scattered showers will develop for the afternoon. Temperatures 10 to 13 degrees. Apologies. We're going to be going to the news a couple of minutes late as the previous item ran on, but we'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
With the phasing out of R32 refrigerant and heat pumps, discover next generation comfort with the new award-winning Grant Airona R290 heat pump, delivering exceptional performance with quiet operation. The Grant Airona R290, heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
You can't predict a minor injury or illness, but you can be sure of Ophelia Letterkenny's MIU walk-in service. Our priority is to see all patients within 1 hour, from minor illnesses to cuts and breaks, sports and limb injuries to minor burns. Ophelia Letterkenny MIU, located in Scally Place. Accidents don't wait for an appointment, neither should you.
Hey, see that road sign?
Which one?
That white one with the black circle and 5 diagonal lines in the middle.
Yeah?
What does that mean again?
It now means that you should drive 60 kilometres an hour or slower.
Ah, okay. This sign on local and rural roads means drive at 60 kilometres an hour or below and always according to the road and weather conditions. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
If you smell gas at home or on the street, don't ignore it. Open windows and doors. Don't smoke, vape, or use a naked flame. Don't unplug or switch anything electrical on or off. Turn off the gas at the meter. Then, no matter who your gas supplier is, call Gas Networks Ireland on 1800 20 50 50. Visit gasnetworks.ie to screenshot the safety steps, save them to your device and share with friends and family.
Discover the best day trips with Boyce Travel. From the thrills of Emerald Park to the wonders of Dublin Zoo, the beauty of Bloom in the Park and the buzz of the Balmoral Show. There's something for everyone. See boycetravel.com or call 9151043.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning. It's just gone 2 minutes past 10. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. 2 women have died as a result of crashes in Counties Derry and Tyrone. A woman has died following a road collision outside Coleraine yesterday afternoon at 3:10. The collision involved a Seat Ibiza and a Toyota Hilux. It happened on the Windy Hill Road, McCuskon, at around 3:10. The female driver at the Seat died at the scene. Meanwhile, a woman died following a collision on the main Dungannon-Cookstown Road. The crash involving a Ford Ka and a Nissan Note happened close to the Old Luckery Road just before 5. The deceased, a passenger in the car, died at the scene. The male drivers of both vehicles and a young child in the Nissan were taken to hospital with serious injuries. Donegal County Council is being criticised for not informing families in advance of the decision to grant planning permission for the proposed development of the site of the Creeslough explosion. Bereaved families and their supporters are challenging the planning permission for the rebuilding of a service station and shop at the site of the blast. Matt McGranahan, who made one of 31 submissions on the initial planning application to Donegal County Council, says the news is devastating and the families have been ignored.
Their voices have not been heard. They have been promised that they would be put front and centre of all decisions, that their voices would be listened to and that their opinions taken on board, and all that has seemed to be just ignored. And this is a continuous cycle of just ignoring the families and their wishes for what they hope that site would be. That site is hallowed ground for the families.
The Sinn Féin whip has described latest government proposals to resolve the speaking time row as a power grab. The opposition has united to oppose the plans, which would see government supporting independence be described under a new status. The row delayed the election of Taoiseach last month. Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, the Sinn Féin whip, says those efforts will be opposed.
They would allow these government TDs to have access to leaders' questions with a new name, priority questions to the Minister. These are all uniquely available to the opposition in a democracy. You'd have one Taoiseach's questions rather than two every week, so less accountability from Micheál Martin. And then they would try to tell us on the order of business on a Tuesday who speaks for the opposition. So this is a power grab.
Foyle MLA Mark H. Durkin says an infrastructure commission is necessary to drive essential reforms for major capital projects. He believes a commission is needed to ensure projects such as the A5 and A6 are delivered on time and within budget. Last year, Northern Ireland's Audit Office reported that NI major capital projects would cost £2.45 billion more to complete than was originally estimated. Mr. Durkin raised the issue this week with Deputy First Minister Emma Little-Pengelly.
Does the Deputy First Minister agree that doing nothing is not an option, and if we don't change how we do things, we won't change how things are done?
Absolutely. We want to improve the processes that we have to make sure that more and more of our capital projects are coming in on time and on budget. I think that the concept of an infrastructure commission is an interesting one, but no matter what we decide to do as the way forward, it must improve the way we do capital infrastructure rollout.
It could be a number of years before house prices start to drop, according to the Taoiseach. CSO figures yesterday found prices rose faster in 2024 than during the previous year. The government has struggled to respond to missing its own house completion targets last year. Speaking at the G20 summit in South Africa, Simon Harris says they want a functioning, affordable housing market.
To do that, we do need to be getting to 50,000, 60,000 homes a year. I was very honest with people during the general election. We need about 300,000 more homes over the next 5 years in this country. I believe when we get to there, we are going to start to see supply beginning to make serious inroads into demand. But there's no two ways about it. There's a very significant gulf at the moment.
And retrofitting buildings to be energy efficient in the rental sector would pose a financial challenge for many landlords. That's a key finding of an ESRI report which examines the energy efficiency status of rental buildings and what it would cost to improve them. With more, here's Tina Gates.
Cases vary substantially, but the ESRI estimates upgrading from a G to a B rating to be around €43,000 and around €30,000 for C-rated properties using 2023 prices. It finds the total investment required by property owners to retrofit the rental sector to a B1 or B2 rating would range between €7 or €8 billion. It also points to a financial challenge for many household landlords in financing upgrades if they wish to do so.
Wet and windy to begin today with spells of occasionally heavy rain, some spot flooding possible. Brighter weather with a mix of sunshine and scattered showers is on the way though. That'll develop in the afternoon in top temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees Celsius. Strong and gusty southerly winds will veer southwest and ease with the clearance. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 21st of February. The death has taken place at Beach Hill Nursing Home in her 104th year of Mary Canny, Shees, Glenaganon, Carndonagh. Her remains are reposing at her home. Removal from there on Sunday morning at 10:20, going to Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to Beach Hill Nursing Home, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has occurred of John Day, Glen Carrigart and formerly of Glasgow. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 2 o'clock, going to his late residence at Glen Carrigart. Funeral Mass on Sunday morning at 11:30 in St John the Baptist Church, Carrigart, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Wake at the family home from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m, with family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has occurred of Elizabeth Lily Kelly, née Gallagher, Shore Road, Carrigart. Lily's remains will repose at her late residence from 12 noon until 10 p.m. today, from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. tomorrow, and from 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. Rosary nightly at 9. Removal to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, on Sunday afternoon for Requiem Mass at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Patrick Patsy Jordan, Carrow Moore, Malin. Patsy's remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there on Sunday morning at 10:20 for 10:30 funeral Mass in St Patrick's Church, Ahatley, followed by interment in Lag Cemetery. The funeral Mass will be streamed live on Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of John Gallagher, Dundone Downings. His remains will repose at his late residence from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of George Gallagher, Fanahan Inver. Wake at the family home today from 12 noon until 9 p.m. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Noel's Church, Ardahi, for 11 o'clock funeral Mass, followed by burial in St Noel's Cemetery, Ardahi. Family home private, please, before the funeral tomorrow. The funeral Mass will be live streamed on the St Noel's Parish Inver Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to the Donegal Hospice. And the death has occurred of Cathal Malloy, Drumnacrush, Glenties and Dublin. His remains are reposing at his late home in Drumnacrush. Funeral from there tomorrow morning to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the local cemetery. Family time, please, before the funeral tomorrow. The funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. It's only Wednesday and the kids have got tons of homework to do. Start with Irish, meatballs and tomato sauce from Aldi. Specially selected 100% Irish Black Angus meatballs, only $2.99. Served with specially selected tomato and basil pasta sauce that's made in Ireland and only $1.99. Dinner's ready. Make your school day meals hassle-free and delicious. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show this Friday. Coming up a little later on, we've got That's Entertainment, where we're going to be talking about stuff we could be getting up to during the weekend and into next week, whether it's TV, cinema. I think Donna Marie's going to be joining us. I think she watched the live episode of Get Out of My Pub, EastEnders, yesterday, if that's something you're interested in. I understand as well. And the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes people maybe think we're not interested in the soaps as well, but many of you watch them. It was a big week in Emmerdale as well. A lot of characters exiting in quite emotional ways, I'm told. So we're happy to talk about the soaps as well too. We're not snobs. 086 60 25,000 if you want to reflect on the soaps or anything else you've been watching as of late, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Lots to happen between now and then though. Good morning. In relation to Garda recruitment, our daughter attended the Garda fitness test last year. 21 in the group, only 2 selected, with 67 Gaelic football players in the group. Ridiculous. Delighted to see change. Wow, okay, listen, this is the type of educational insight we're interested in. So only 2 selected, 21 in her group, and 67 were Gaelic footballers. Micheál Martin should not go to Washington just to be seen in the Oval Office. Trump is throwing Ukraine to the wolves. He's cutting Europe out of the equation. He won't allow Ukraine to have a say in their own fate. If the Taoiseach goes, he should step down. He's always talking about democracy. Why is he giving shamrocks to a dictator? Well, I mean, everyone can have their views, of course, but Donald Trump's now twice been democratically elected by the people of the United States, far from a dictator. And in fairness, he is, whether you like it or not, fulfilling the mandate, what he said he would do in the election. Some might say he's not, but many people believe that he's doing what he said he would. Hi, Greg. Regarding the new rules on modular homes in gardens, while I believe the state needs to build significantly more social houses, I find it quite odd that Sinn Féin has objected to the new rules, particularly when the ability to place a modular home in your garden without planning and permission would help hundreds, if not thousands, of people affected by defective blocks in Donegal. It's a pity you don't have Pádraig McLaughlin or Pierce Doherty available to ask their views on it, especially regarding Donegal. Well, we will down the line. We got our panel to discuss it. We haven't had a government spokesperson on it either. We're just throwing it out there to see what the general public think. I think Paul Canning's input into it actually was really quite interesting in terms of the practicality of it. You know, this might seem like a good idea until there's one overlooking your back garden and you've got no right to objection because it's exempt from planning. You know, like we do have to, all of these plans, you have to think of all of the potential possibilities. 300,000 in 5 years, that's 60,000 houses a year. You need to build 2,000 houses in each county. They'd be lucky if they built 200 houses a year. Also, too, there's a serious problem with money. We need private money from outside the country, 30 billion, I think it is, over the course of 5 years to complete these houses. That's if we have the workers, the land and the service sites. And at the moment, the government is taking part in an event where they're trying to court some of this money, you know, like pension funds, the likes that own the lotto, and other investment funds, because it can't be done without that money, and the government is a party to try and attract that foreign investment into the Irish housing market to give assurances, etc., etc. Personally, I don't think it mattered what president is in charge or trying for peace. There are powerful people who had already decided that Ukraine was always going to be divided up and its multiple resources stripped from its scattered people by the oppressors and those who came to its defence. I think that was its ultimate goal, as happened in other countries. It does feel a little bit like the vultures are circulating. Someone says, get your facts right as it relates to Elon Musk. If I was referring to the 400 million contract, he's had 87.6 million euro in contract since Donald Trump took power. The 400,000, you quite rightly pointed out, because I do my research, was signed under the Biden administration. But he's had 87.6 million euro of contracts since, and I believe contracts worth up to $1 trillion overall. So my point being is an interested party. He's talking about saving taxpayers' money, and I think it was Darren that says that. But Darren, you're an objective thinker. He's talking about going in there and saving taxpayers' money when he's benefiting to the tune of $1 trillion, or 87.6 million most recently. Are you confident there can't be a conflict of interest there? Would you blindly support that? It seems dodgy to me. Children's Hospital all wasted money. Trump should highlight the waste. Who put Zelensky into power? The Ukrainian people didn't, as far as I'm aware. Well, not unfortunately, you are incorrect. He was elected president by the Ukrainian people in a landslide election. A couple of people actually suggested that to me on socials as well, that he was, I think when certain commentators say he was installed by the West, they presume that he wasn't elected, but he was elected by the Ukrainian people. In the most recent polls, although some people are questioning the validity of the polls, suggest he's got 55% support over there. The reason that the Garda can't get recruitment is because the public don't feel they're an independent organisation. They work on behalf of the government. Morning panel, the government are true to form, tinkering around the edges of the housing crisis, allowing cabins in back gardens. They need to get their finger out and do some heavy lifting and start building affordable housing. It wasn't a very nice comment from Catherine Noon made about going to be, you're not going to be looking to join if you're a big lump on the couch all day. Very insensitive comment, in my opinion. Okay, I take your point, but I also understand the point she was trying to make without offence. There are lots of you messaging in as it relates to the Creeslough situation. Hi, Greg. Regarding Creeslough, surely if there's an active investigation ongoing, how can it be that the centre of that investigation, the site, can now be reopened and redeveloped without any answers given as to what caused the disaster? Now, I try and state facts, not opinions, certainly in relation to this matter. The families have been informed, as far as I'm aware, that the investigation on the site has been concluded and that the site has been handed back to its owners at this point. So in terms of, and this is not my opinion, this is seemingly what the authorities think, in terms of its use as far as the investigation has gone, that is concluded. So it's been passed back to the owners. So as I say, that might not satisfy people. It's not an opinion, but that's what's happened. Therefore, the development of it could continue by law, and the investigation, they say, can continue there as well. With Creeslough, says the listener, it's not a matter of the speed of things or anyone begrudging redevelopments, but first give the families a definitive answer as to what happened to their loved ones. Once that has happened, speaking for myself, let the redevelopment then commence with every good wish. Greg, the Creeslough tragedy is going down the same route as the Stardust and Mary Ball cases because of some political interference. Well, I mean, I know the Stardust families through their social media have come out and recognised similarities with what they went through following the Stardust tragedy and what's happening now in Creeslough, and offered their support to that campaign. Greg, the planning in this country needs to be investigated. In my area, planning is an absolute disgrace. Planning will be granted based on who you know and who you are. More people need to report that. That can often be a perception, you know. I mean, it's often good to get planners out onto your property or onto your land and say, look, this is what I'm proposing. What are the, you know, and they will, and say, well, you know, what do I need to change? Am I going to get planning permission? Shall I go through this process? What about the roof? What about the aspect? All that kind of stuff. It's good to do in advance. I think that's what I might do. That site should never be redeveloped. The garage is a big company. Buy another site and build there. People's feelings should come before profits. Well, they stated in their application that they had sought alternative sites and none suitable were available in the surrounding area. That literally formed part of their application submission. Here's an interesting one. I'm glad people message this stuff in because it gives me a chance to reference it. And I read everything that comes in that I get here. Why hasn't Highland covered Donegal planners' insensitive decision on Creeslough as much as Radio Foyle, afraid to ruffle the council feathers? Now, we have covered every element of the Creeslough tragedy from the very, very beginning. And I'm not being defensive at all because it's got nothing to do with me or Highland or Foyle. It's about the families. There is a process that's ongoing, and the people have submitted their submissions to the council, and that process is ongoing. It is not my job or our job here to try and interfere with planning. There is a process there. We are also a platform that is available to anyone who wants to comment or speak or what have you. That's no problem whatsoever. And it has happened over the course of the last couple of years that if families feel they've got something to say, that they come on and speak to us. I don't know what Radio Foyle has or has not done. I'm quite satisfied that I certainly would never want to interfere in the planning process. And any time anyone has wanted a platform, including invitations extended to those behind the plans, it's been afforded to them. And I'm really quite proud of how we've dealt with that, to be honest with you. But it's not to do with me, and it's certainly nothing to do with Radio 4. The important thing here is the families and those that were lost, and those that mourn them very, very deeply still to this very day. Sinn Féin, by the way, they've released a statement this morning saying they're not travelling to the White House to meet Trump. Mary Lou McDonald said US President Donald Trump's comments on Gaza, Ukraine and domestic issues means her party cannot justify travelling to Washington, D.C. this year. What do you think about that? Michelle O'Neill, the Irish Northern Irish First Minister, she's not travelling either. No one in the party will, in fact, to meet Trump. And this, as I say, is in protest, they say, at his foreign and domestic policies. The move's likely to cause significant concerns that may further risk the Irish economy and Irish jobs due to any potential backlash from Trump. So this is it, right? Like him or loathe him, he is a sensitive character and he does react. Have Sinn Féin done the right thing? Or, potentially, as a future government, are they going to attract the ire of Donald Trump and he's going to go raging at Ireland because he'll feel his nose is put out of joint, and he is that type of personality? All to be considered. Could this be good for Ireland, bad for Ireland, the right decision, the wrong decision? Sinn Féin's Mary Lou McDonald and Sinn Féin's Michelle O'Neill are not travelling to meet US President Donald Trump next month. Interested in your views on that? 086 60 25,000.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 21st of February. You're playing on the yellow sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S20. It's game number 8. The numbers are 7, 21, 73, 22, 84, 80, 18, 48, 87, and finally 9. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
For strong, unique, weather-resistant homes, choose Seadrill Exteriors. Our fibre cement roof slates and wall cladding ranges are built to last for generations, exceeding EU quality standards. Members of Guaranteed Irish, our products are locally made and beautifully designed, offering long-term peace of mind. Visit Seadrill.ie. Seadrill Exteriors. Strength guaranteed.
Are you looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Mabel Stores has you covered across Donegal. Proudly Donegal owned, your local Mabel store offers everything from apples to AdBlue, all while supporting local suppliers. And throughout the month of February, spend €10 in any Mabel store and you'll receive a voucher for a free regular tea or coffee. Check out your local Mabel store on Facebook for weekly offers and promotions. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Let's go! Charlie and the Chocolate Factory comes to Green and Theatre, Letterkenny, Tuesday, March the 4th to March the 8th, 8 p.m. nightly. Come and see Willy Wonka's magical and mysterious factory, along with young Charlie Bucket and 4 other golden ticket holders. Letterkenny Musical Society's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at Green and Theatre, Letterkenny, March the 4th to March the 8th. Get your golden tickets now.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Now, I'm joined on the programme by Sarah O'Neill, a former special advisor to the Override Car, and Richard Bruton. Good morning to you, Sarah. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks very much for having me on. I know it's been a very busy couple of days for you, so thank you very much for making the time.
No. It's all matters are important too. And you recently wrote a piece on Ireland being no country for new mums, why motherhood shatters the illusion of gender equality. And I don't want to frame the article in any way or the letter in any way, shape or form, Sarah. So just in your own words, what's the point you're getting across here?
Yeah, so I suppose since having my first baby just over 2 years ago, I've just noticed a lot of gaps in how we're caring for women during this time, and it is a very vulnerable time, and I think we could do a lot better. So in the article, I listed out some suggestions. So the first one just around breastfeeding support. Currently, there's no 24/7 breastfeeding support for women, and feeding a baby is a 24-hour job, as any new parent will know. There's also kind of concerningly not any consistency. And I know this is very stressful for women in the early days, especially, but there's no consistency around the advice on breastfeeding. So, for example, you might have a midwife in a maternity hospital tell you one piece of advice, and then an hour later, another midwife, a completely different piece of advice. And it's, it's very stressful. So that's one thing.
Yeah,
The
and of course,
second
too, in terms of supports, and the level of breastfeeding varies right across the country too, dependent on which hospital you might attend. So that probably talks to that point. You also raised the issue too of services available in France that aren't available here.
Yeah, just on the breastfeeding, the last thing I'll say is
Yes,
that
of
Ireland
course.
actually has one of the lowest breastfeeding rates in the world. So clearly women aren't being supported if that's what they choose, because I know obviously a lot of women choose bottle feeding as well, and that's also fine. But I think there is a cohort of women who would like to breastfeed and aren't being supported to do so. And I think that's actually I found it anyways, very upsetting as a new mother. So I suppose that's the cohort I'm identifying with, I suppose.
Yeah, and we've discussed that quite a bit on the likes of this show, and the problem is as well too, because this is not a new thing. The gaps in support from say mothers or sisters or your peer group, aren't necessarily there to support a new mother breastfeeding like they might be in a country where generationally there's been a high level of breastfeeding. And I suppose that's where the state needs to step in. But continue, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think the France comparison was in France, women are given at least 10 postpartum physiotherapy sessions to help repair their pelvic floor areas. That's the area most impacted by pregnancy and childbirth. And we don't have any postpartum rehabilitation in Ireland, as a matter of course. We have the 6-week check, which I know from just speaking with friends, it really varies in the kind of quality of care that you get at that 6-week check. So I just think women deserve a bit better than that. Like, I think we should have some kind of pelvic floor specific postpartum care. Another thing then, just going to your breastfeeding comment there related to that, I think women more so now than ever are kind of on their own mothering, either they live away from parents or family, or their family aren't in a position to support them. And I think a lot of women are kind of, and I mean, the research would show that around 80% of Irish women feel lonely during pregnancy or early motherhood. So I think we need to have some kind of women's talking group. Like they have them in the UK, where women meet weekly, and it's facilitated, and they can talk openly about how they're getting on themselves, not just their baby or how they're feeding their baby or anything like that, just about themselves. And I think we could, they would really work very well here as well.
Yeah, and also to facilities, so that people can get out and about. I mean, we could talk about public attitudes towards breastfeeding as well, because that is also an issue. If you want to go shopping, a feed is likely or probable in a certain space of time. We don't want women sitting at home feeling trapped. So, I wonder how much progress we are making in terms of public attitudes to discreet breastfeeding in public. That's what women do. You know what I mean? They're not out there showing themselves off. It's always very discreet. But also too, though, with that, changing nappies, other matters, changing a baby grow if the child sticks up a little bit or what have you. We're a bit inconsistent, are we, in terms of available changing facilities?
Yeah, I think, some private businesses and like shopping centres and stuff have excellent facilities, but we don't have, a network of public, well-maintained, crucially, because I know that's a big problem as well, well-maintained facilities that are unisex. We still have some private businesses that have baby change facilities and women's toilets only. I actually don't think there's any excuse for that. It's a matter of a fold-down table and a bin. I think, private businesses should be providing baby change facilities in both male and female toilets. But I also think that there should be like public facilities. And as you said, I mean, I think the solution is to make women feel more comfortable breastfeeding in public. I don't think we should be expecting them to go into a room if that, but I understand that some women would do prefer that, and we should be providing for that as well. So yeah, that was another thing.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing you say to Sarah, which I think will, firstly educate a lot of people, but also a lot of people may be able to relate to it. You moved in a tough space, as a special advisor to the likes of Leo Varadkar and Richard Bruton, so you know what's what. And you draw a comparison between equality or perceived equality as a person without children and then as a woman with children. So is it that the two cohorts are treated differently, or is it a fantasy that's equality even if you have no children?
Yeah, I think it's perhaps potentially controversial to say, but I think we've made a huge amount of progress in giving women equality, or giving equal opportunity to women in education and careers up until a certain point when they have very, very different needs. And that's very obvious in motherhood. Women have different needs at that point, I think, and that's the point at which it becomes most obvious. So I think we've kind of made progress in giving women opportunities in kind of man's arena, but not necessarily changing things to work better for women and their individual needs. I don't think we should be afraid to say that. And that really struck me, I think, having young children, because until then, you're kind of able to kind of operate within a man's framework, I suppose.
Yeah, but once you have children, you become
I think the needs between men and women are very, very obvious.
Yeah, of course.
In their difference.
But and that has ramifications. Look, people make choices, okay? But sometimes people are forced to make choices. Perhaps it's no coincidence that as we try and get equal representation of women across society, that we're seeing, women having less children, women having children later. Are they choices that they're making because that's what they want to do, or is particularly sort of the workspace set up that they're having to make that decision, which is not equal, is it really? That's not equal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated area. I don't and I think a lot of things feed into it, I mean, women have a lot more opportunities now, and that's a great thing, obviously, and they want to dedicate their time to their career, and that should be welcomed. I also know that people want to be financially secure before they have children, and obviously with cost of living, that's a bit more difficult now, and there's loads of different things that are feeding into it, I think.
What do you think needs to change?
I think we need to recognize, give a few things. I think we need to give more recognition to that time in a woman's life, new motherhood. It's kind of a lot of emphasis on the baby, which is obviously very important. But I think women can't be forgotten about, and they are being forgotten about in that period, and they need more help and support, and they need these services that I've listed. So that's one thing I think we really need, and that's why I wrote the article, I suppose.
Yeah, and a couple of paragraphs here. Another aspect of this is the missing vocabulary of motherhood. Can you explain that a little bit more to me?
Yeah, so what struck me as well is that there just wasn't really the language to describe what I was feeling. And I mean, I think, I think there's a significant gap there. And if you can't describe what you're feeling, then you can't really connect with people, and you can't really describe it to others as well. So the example I gave in the article was that kind of, there's no word for that feeling when you see your baby for the first time, and how you relate that to what you imagined was growing inside you, or that kind of pull that you feel when your baby's crying in the backseat of the car and you're driving. Like, it's not quite anxiety, it's not quite, fear. It's this kind of it's literally like a magnetic pull, So there is a word, and I wrote about it in the article as well. It's called matrescence, and that is a word to describe the transition into motherhood for a woman. It is as big a change as adolescence. We have a word for that. So matrescence kind of takes into account, the physical and the emotional changes, obviously, but also the changes to a woman's identity, her social position, her political position, as I just spoke about, and how that changes as well. like even the changes to her brain are massive. It's a huge change, and I think we should kind of recognize and support women better during it.
Yeah, and then what the mindset is it that needs to change, whereby rather than maybe a child, a woman becoming a mother and maybe disadvantaging her in other parts of life, that it should actually enhance that, and that the mother should be recognized for also being a parent, if that makes sense, rather than it being a disadvantage. To actually give motherhood the recognition it deserves. It is literally the continuation of humanity, so that exactly. it's not that is supported in every which way we can, because it's such a vital and critical role, but also that why should that then disadvantage you in the workspace or in political life or what have you? It should enhance that, surely.
Exactly, and I'll just use the example of the changes to the brain, as this is a good example of I kind of think what needs to change and what's currently the case. So at the moment, there's all these kind of tropes about mum brain and forgetfulness and stuff, whereas the research would show that there is some temporary forgetfulness during pregnancy, but that doesn't affect work performance. But in actual fact, parts of the brain are massively strengthened by parenthood. So cognitive functioning, your ability to manage complex demands, your ability to read social and emotional cues, you're more efficient, you're more creative, you're more brave, and you're more bold. And yet we diminish women by talking about these mum brain tropes. You know what I mean? I think that's so disappointing. So I suppose that kind of really encapsulates what I'm trying to say here, is that, this is a very powerful but also a very vulnerable time for women. We need to recognize that and help them more, and not just dismiss them or, as you say, disadvantage them in some way career-wise or whatever it is,
Yeah, this is a listener, we're culturally set up nowadays to not have children until later due to financial stability first being driven into the heads of the millennials. I'm not sure it's being driven into anyone. I think it's a lived reality. You have a couple, they get together at 24, 25, they're convinced they're going to be together forever, but they can't get a house to rent, or if they do, they can't afford anything else, and they have to make a decision: can we afford to bring another dependent into the world? I don't think anyone's been forced into it. It seems to be a reality of the situation, but I'm sure throughout history there have been peaks and troughs of that. I don't think it's going to be terribly new, or maybe you have a different view.
No. Well, no, I think all across Western society you see women having children later. So I think it's a complicated thing. There's a number of reasons for it, I think. But I completely appreciate that the cost of living as well is definitely a factor currently. Yeah.
And in fact, that was demonstrated in a recent study. And finally, of course, says new mums feeling trapped because they can't go shopping, etc. Try getting showered. Yeah, that's a reality as well too, with a very new child. All right then. Thanks.
Thank you so much for speaking
Sarah,
to me, Greg.
Thank you for sharing your views with us. I do appreciate that. Right, that's Sarah O'Neill, a former special advisor to the overhead car and Richard Bruton. To some, you might go, what are you on about? And to others, it might be, I hear what you're saying. You're talking to me. Such is the nature of people's contributions. A caller says, my relative was killed in Creeslough and I think we need a shop again. It's not to be heartless at all, but there's nowhere nearby to get fuel for the car. Harland have Garda on every week and didn't ask once about Creeslough. Greg will, of course, say we can't say it will affect the case. Well, you answered your own question. You've answered your own question there. I'd be privy to the Garda investigation. It is ongoing. I know that the Garda meet regularly with families to keep them abreast of what's going on. It's not for me to ask a rank and file Garda about the Creeslough investigation. What possibly could they say? There is a special team, not all from within the county, that are working on that. If I were to ask someone during Community Guard information, what would come from that? They have no information and would be not able to add anything, and it would be insensitive to the families. And of course we can't discuss the nature of the case because, as you quite rightly pointed out, it could affect the case. Why would I do anything at all that could possibly compromise the families getting to the truth? How irresponsible of me would that be if I tried to start meddling? Now, if the families express frustration with the pace of the case, or if they've got something to say, they know that we are a platform here to give them an opportunity to get that out there. That's our role as far as I can see. I watch on, right? And trust me, I don't need, or anyone in the media does not need to be interfering with that investigation. As you quite rightly point out yourself, that it could in any way lead to it being disrupted.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Open your future by attending Northwest Regional College Open Days. This is the opportunity to visit your local campus and tour the fabulous facilities, sample the college experience and apply for your course. Running from 12 noon each day, beginning 25th of February, Strabane campus, 26th of February, Strand Road and Springtown campuses, and 27th of February, Limavady and Greystone campuses. Register online to attend for your chance to win a high-spec laptop. Northwest Regional College Open Days. From here to career.
Packing, passports and racing to check in. Holiday prep can be pure chaos. With your travel money, that's one essential you can tick off long before you leave. Pop into your local post office today and sort your travel money in cash or card instantly. Or sign up for a card in the On Post Money app and top up before you go. No commission on foreign currency, no need to pre-order, no fuss. Visit your local post office today. On Post Money. Make your money matter more.
T's and C's apply. On Post Money currency card is issued by PPS EU-SA pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EU-SA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. On Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide foreign currency cash.
If that tickle in your throat has turned into a nasty cough, or if you're just feeling a bit under the weather, at McGee's Chemist we understand. From the right cough bottle to pain relief or throat lozenges, we've everything you'll need to get you back on your feet. Our pharmacists and experienced staff are always ready to offer advice and help you find the right solutions. Don't suffer in silence. Visit McGee's Chemist today. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, for healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Whether they're on holiday, watching TV, eating a family meal.
Put it down.
It seems teenagers just refuse to put down their phones. But help is at hand.
Because Fundamania is in Derry.
Real thrills, real fun, outside in the fresh air.
Fundamania Derry at the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th to March 17th.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands. Turn screen time into scream time. Details at fundamania.co.uk.
Relay for Life Donegal is back and is now open for team registration. As a community, we relay together to celebrate cancer survivorship. Remember those we've lost and fight back by raising awareness. Will you join us? Gather your friends and family and enter your team. Register today at DonegalRelayForLife.com. Together, we can make a difference.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Hoka, the brand that has changed running shoes at Brian McCormick Sports. The ultra-cushioned game changer, Bondi 9, will give you a soft and bouncy transition from heel to toe. Enjoy the increased stack height with a new premium midsole. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Don't know if you know Alice and Pat. Late 40s, couple of kids, been together 17 years. Never married, of course, but that's not a problem. Until something happens. And suddenly words like unmarried, inheritance, and substantial tax bill enter the equation. You never need proper estate planning. Until you do. That's why the experienced team at McElhenney & Associates are here to help. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney & Associates, Solicitors, Stranraer.
Visit Century Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play, hours of fun in Century Golf, and lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing romantic comedies like the new Bridget Jones and Mad About the Boy. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Bridgend Bureau de Change is now open at Rafferty Circle K Bridgend for all your euro, sterling and dollars. Contact Bridgend Bureau de Change at Rafferty Circle K Bridgend. Planning a wedding or caravan fees to pay? Call into Rafferty Circle K Bridgend for all your currency needs. Bridgend Bureau de Change, the #1 Bureau de Change in County Donegal, authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hi,
Hi, it's Marty Morrissey here. The Marty Party is heading to Calpe in Spain from October 2nd to October 9th. We have an amazing lineup. The Tumbling Paddies, Sean Kane, Tommy Fleming, Honor, Liam O'Connor, Cherish the Ladies, the Galway Tenors and many more. Book your tickets now online, www.calestertravel.com, or call Deirdre at 087 68 93 519. Come on for the music and the crack.
Highland Radio weather updates with the McElhennys. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so brighter weather with a mix of sunshine and scattered showers will develop for the afternoon. Temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees. Right, I think I can say good morning to retired Garda Sergeant Christy Galligan. Christy, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, yes.
Good stuff.
Perfectly.
That was my fault, but we have you loud and clear now. Right, so Christy, funny, we raised these proposals to get rid of sit-ups and push-ups and the bleep test, and we had a panel on this morning. They seem to think, 2 out of 3 anyway, that this was a good idea to get more people into the force, and the public seem to think, from what we're getting, that it is not a bad idea. What's your view?
Well, I'm rather sceptical that we are going to reduce the Garda fitness test, in order to recruit more people into the Garda Síochána. There's a fitness test we all had to go through, these physical competency tests that we all had to go through. And, I don't see the reduction in the types of physical fitness to increase the number of people coming into the recruitship who's going to help the Garda Síochána. I think it's a very important part, because really, at the end of the day, there is a requirement in relation to physical fitness when you join the job, because you're dealing with it can be a very mentally taxing job, but it's also a very physically taxing job as well. And if you don't have people who are fit, if they're not fit now, or you reduce that fitness requirement, what are they going to be like in a couple of years' time? So I think it's a misjudgment by the higher authorities. Look, we have so many problems within the Garda Síochána. We've increased the age for prospective trainees to 50 years of age. Now, I said before that was madness, because by the time somebody is through their traineeship and gaining some experience, they're in 10 years they'll be gone, they'll be retired. So, it seems to be a kind of a panicking situation by the Garda hierarchy or the Department of Justice when it comes to recruitment in the Garda Síochána, because the biggest issues they've had was recruitment retention in the Garda Síochána. A lot of the young people will go in, do their training, and they're gone. They had the issues in relation to vetting in the Garda Síochána as well, where people who are in training for 2 years hadn't been vetted. There's a whole sea change that was brought in. But I don't think reducing the Garda fitness test is going to help it in any
But they must have identified it,
numbers.
Christy, they must have identified it as an issue, though. They must have identified it as an issue, or else they wouldn't, because they can imagine how this might be read and how it might look and how it actually might reflect on the surfing Gardaí, to be honest with you. There are people going, really? Is that the job that you don't really need to be able to do sit-ups or push-ups or move at a certain speed?
Look, it's part of the core training of any fitness. I suppose in any other services as well, there's a core fitness training regime that you have to go through. But reducing those core fitness training and the beep test as well has also been reduced as well. That famous beep test they all talk about, you have to do so many runs within a certain period of time. That has been reduced as well, not just the sit-ups as well. So there's a number of the different things that they've tweaked in order to increase recruitment. Yes, we all want to increase recruitment, but I would like to see, not to see guards behind a desk looking at a computer all day. I'd like to see more Gardaí in the street. That's the biggest problem that we have. And until we get past this, the type of statistical analysis that has dogged the Garda Síochána in the last number of years, we'll never see Gardaí on the beat, or frequently on the beat, and that's what we want. The fitness test, if it's going to reduce the fitness test to increase recruitment, and if they think that's the way to go, so be it. But I don't think that's going to help.
Well, someone texted in.
For people who are joining the Guards.
Someone texted in, Christy, and they seem to have knowledge of the situation. And they talked of a daughter that went along to the fitness test, and there was, dozens of people at it. 3 dozen people attended, I think, and only 2 or 3 were selected. So maybe it is too tough.
I know what they're saying, but I mean, when you go into the career services, you're told exactly what's expected of you. In relation to the different age gaps that are there, they've from 18 to 34, and then from 34 onwards, and and as you get older, they reduce those fitness capacity tests to suit the person or the age of that person who's going forward or who's applying for the Garda Síochána. But I don't think, when you're a young person, if you're between 18 and 25 or 34, I mean, you should have a certain amount of fitness anyway. This is only to accelerate that fitness, to make you more fit. But I mean, you can see the struggles the Garda Síochána have in relation to, we've had the riots in Dublin, one thing and another. It is a very physically, as I said, and mentally taxing job. And if you're not up to kind of scratch where you can deal with that on an ongoing daily basis, then you'd have very few people out on the job.
So you're saying we could end up with more stress leave, more sick leave, more people who were taken into the guards but aren't able to do the job? So in other words, we could end up paying people for sitting at home? Is that a concern you'd have?
Well, there's different ways of looking at it, Greg. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of very competent people and very good people that join the force with the best intentions to serve the Irish public, the public as a whole. I mean, there are people put on that uniform to serve the public, and that's what they're there to do. But at the same time, if we are going to reduce the simple things like a fitness test, or we're going to start increasing the age for people to join the force, or we're going to tweak it somewhere else, how many tweaks do you have before you get to the ultimate number that they're seeking for recruitment and retention in the Garda Síochána? There is a lot of other issues within the Guards, and that I'm sure you've discussed them, and as I have discussed them over the last number of years in relation to morale, the lack of, the schism between Garda hierarchy and the frontline Gardaí on the ground. And I mean, recently, you have young members of the force who are coming on to say, this is wonderful, brilliant, and it's a great advertisement for the job. But I have very rarely heard people who have maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years experience being interviewed to see what they think where the force is going.
I put a question to the panel a little earlier on, if that, could it affect morale amongst Gardaí that now you have at the moment, as people come into the force, a minimum level of fitness and agility and ability,
yes.
right? And I'm just wondering if you get rid of that, and you might have someone who, might say, I'm decent fit, and looks to someone sit beside them who isn't as fit, and they might go, what's going on here? That, in other words, morale is pretty low in on Garda Síochána. Maybe I'm barking up a wrong tree here. Do you think something like this could cause greater division within the force, or lower morale, or is that nothing?
Well, I mean, I've spoken to a number of Gardaí here in Donegal in relation to this very thing that we were speaking about this morning in relation to the fitness requirements. And they said, well, it seems very unfair. We went through all of this to get to that standard in order to be accepted as a trainee and then as a recruit in Templemore. Now they're going to reverse some of these things in order to facilitate people who don't meet the minimum required standard. So it seems a little bit unfair. In the long run, it seems rather unfair that people who have gone through the poll process, passed with flying colours, are now, looking and saying, well, why did we have to go through all of this? But now they're reducing those standards.
And finally, people seem to believe that this is tinkering around the edges, like, planning free cabins in backyards is tinkering around the edges of the housing crisis. That's what some people feel, that this is not really addressing the core issue, remuneration, rostering hours, terms and conditions.
Yeah.
That's why we're not able to retain Gardaí, and that's why people aren't joining. Would you give that argument much weight?
I agree with you totally there, Greg. I mean, the remuneration, I mean, young people, I'm talking to young people in Dublin there where they're talking about accommodation in Dublin, trying to get accommodation. You come out as a trainee in Templemore, you're on the minimum wage, as they say, and you're trying to get accommodation in Dublin. For some people, it's up to 1,800 a month. I mean, that's impossible. I mean, they haven't even looked after those core issues in relation to accommodation. If you go into major city centres or major urban areas and I mean, it's not only the guards, there are many other people that are feeling the same problem. Remuneration is another thing, the excessive, maybe disciplinary issues that have been, and the long-term suspensions are many of the other issues that are concerning the job as well. So, I mean, we need to have a more holistic look at this, and the new Minister for Justice, I hope, will maybe change tact, because he wants boots on the ground again. He wants more boots on the ground, and I agree with him totally there. We need that to make our public feel safer in the long run.
Well, maybe this is kite flying. Who's to say? Or maybe it will come to pass. I think it's going to come to pass. But Christy Galligan, former Garda Sergeant, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Take care of yourself. Okay, Christy Galligan there. A caller says, I joined the Gardaí in 1978 and the fitness test was hell. We had to do it every year. A lot of Gardaí were only sitting in patrol cars. The soldiers' fitness test is far harder, they say. The test would kill them altogether. They believe that the new fitness test is a joke. Another caller says, and I made this point to Christy, pay the guards more and they'll get fit recruits to apply. All right, interested in your views on all of that. Okay, back shortly with the news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Log on to Revenue's My Account to claim any tax credits you're entitled to and tell us about any extra income you have earned outside the PAYE system. If you're due a refund, you'll get it within days. If you owe us money, we'll work with you on a payment option. My Account. It's quick, it's easy, and it's free.
If you're organising an event, you might be surprised by everything BizPrint offer, from photo props, backdrops, banners to tablecloths, pens, keyrings and mugs. Everything to make your event a big success. Call BizPrint on 9177 955 or see bizprint.ie.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, you're so hot, I want to come over.
Okay.
And I was like, cool. And he was like, I'm on my way, driving over right now.
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. Amazing prices on made-to-order kitchens, sliding wardrobes and much more. Don't miss your chance to transform your home at unbeatable prices. Book your appointment today at cherrymore.ie or call 07497 25822. Cherrymore, 28 years of adding quality and value to your home.
Want a new car? Think Kia. Call Heron Auto Donegal Town on 074 9722 555. We're excited to offer a fantastic selection of self-charge and plug-in hybrid cars, along with petrol and electric cars. With finance rates starting from an incredible 0% APR and a 7-year warranty, you can drive away today with peace of mind. Call Heron Auto to find your perfect vehicle and experience our commitment to excellence. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto Donegal Town. With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we ease in towards the last hour of the show for this week with the news headlines at 11 o'clock. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. 2 women have died as a result of crashes in counties Derry and Tyrone. One died following a collision at McCuskon outside Coleraine yesterday afternoon at 3:10. The other as a result of a collision on the main Dungannon-Cookstown road shortly before 5. Sinn Féin won't travel to the White House for St Patrick's Day this year. Mary Lou McDonald and Michelle O'Neill have made the decision after Donald Trump's comments about the future of Gaza. The US President has threatened to remove the Palestinian people from the area to create a new Riviera of the Middle East. The Sinn Féin leader usually attends events at the White House and on Capitol Hill each St Patrick's Day. Donegal County Council is being criticised for not informing families in advance of the decision to grant planning permission for the proposed development of the site of the Creeslough explosion. Bereaved families and their supporters are challenging the planning permission for the rebuilding of a service station and shop at the site of the blast. Minister Michael Healy-Rae says he's standing shoulder to shoulder with those people who put aside land for forestry over the past 2 decades. Satellite images show nearly 24,000 hectares of forestry have been damaged by storms Dara and Eowyn. A forest windblow task force is putting together a plan of action for owners. The minister is promising the results and response will be swift. One of the country's leading property development companies is offering to pay the residential zoned land tax on land it purchases in Donegal. As part of its expansion strategy, Fitzpatrick and Heavey Homes says it's actively looking to acquire residentially zoned land in the county with plans to build in the region of 100 houses. And Elon Musk claims the war in Ukraine is a corrupt graft. The billionaire, one of Donald Trump's top advisors, is backing the president's decision to exclude Kyiv from negotiations with Russia. Yesterday, a top American official cancelled a joint press conference with Vladimir Zelensky after their meeting. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thank you very much indeed.
Cuireann cervical check scag hostal curvax fáil siarnáis go do bhná idir 25 agus 65 bliain d'aois. Tá scag hostal curvax le haith HPV cheann do na bailí is fearr leis an risca a laidú go dúchach an ailte curvax tamachchanse. Má tá sé nám dat scag hostal curvax a áil, déan cunne iniu. Le hólas a áil agus lena chinú go bhfuil tú an glór, teigeigh hse.ie/cervical check. Ó aimimenacht na Seirbhíse Sláinte.
Okay, you're very welcome along to That's Entertainment here, the last hour of the 9 till noon show. And we've a star cast today. We've got the made-up mummy, Sarah Terry. Hiya.
Hi, Greg. How are you? What's
Good. It's great to have you in. Normally, if you're standing up singing, and now you're seated talking.
I don't need my voice today. And it's
well, I wouldn't say so. We don't know how we're going to fill the hour yet.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I'm only joking, and it's great to have you with us. And our own Donna Marie Doherty, who seems uncomfortably obsessed with EastEnders.
Yes.
Is all of this about EastEnders?
That's all EastEnders.
Well, I ain't talking about EastEnders for an hour. And look.
We should be. We should
no,
be.
No, we're not going to do it, but we will start with it just because you've been so kind as to join us. They do this from time to time, don't they, where they do a live special. Now, I presume there's a delay to it in case someone trips over and smashes their head.
This is the second live episode they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So it is.
Right, so why are you so excited about it?
It
happened, by the way, this was on last night, wasn't it?
It was on last night, so it was. Everyone's chatting about it, so it is. I am raging that if you haven't watched it now, I don't know, cover your ears. I can't believe they killed Martin. I am devastated.
He was born. Was he not born in the first episode?
He was. He was the first baby born. So he was. So he also turned 40, and so a lot of people kind of speculated that it had to be him. But I think, what a great way you could have sent off a legend like Patrick or one of the old timers and let Martin and
Can I just apologise to our older listeners, by the way?
Patrick. And let Martin and Stacey have their children.
So who would you have? But it's not. EastEnders is not there to make you happy. It's to make you depressed.
But you know what?
They have to.
They did that. They did that. But no, I think you could have. It would have been such an episode to send off one of the icons, and they did. But like one of the older icons.
And I know what you're saying too, because I was being a bit disparaging, but only in jest. You're saying that it could have been a fantastic send off for someone who's towards their end of their EastEnders life in any case.
Yeah.
So how did they? What? Normally it's an explosion, a train crash, plane crash. Something
It
happens.
was the first one. So there was an explosion at the pub, and Billy and Honey were getting married, so everybody was in there.
Uh-huh.
So they were. There was another storyline where Phil was having a mental health crisis. So that was kind of running concurrently with that. And then we also had the live vote of who's Denise going to choose. Is it going to be Ravi or Jack? And that was done via a social media voting system, or they advertised it on their social media.
So they allowed the audience to influence the script?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting, I suppose. The way
that they've done that, so they're currently filming their April episodes. So they have AB storylines. So they've filmed for either thing that would have happened. So they have filmed a storyline up until April with Denise and Jack. And with
Your
Denise and
review,
Ravi.
they didn't maximise the potential for it.
It was. Now, I understand that they would have got that result maybe just before the episode aired or as it aired. But I was waiting for this. Like, this was the whole big thing. Who's it going to be? And she knocked on his door, and then they just sat in having a glass of wine. And I was like, "Is this it? Where's the big reveal to Ravi, where it's like, oh, it's not you?" Because I thought at the start, whenever Denise knocked at the door and it was going to be Jack, that he went in, and they were smiling, and then they were chatting. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be it. She's going to be, I don't love you," and she's going to run away. But then they just sat on the sofa, and everybody's over across the road fighting for their lives.
I watched EastEnders recently. I didn't watch it; it was on, and I can say this right because it's about me as well. It's not being ageist, but some of the characters that are around about my age, I genuinely hadn't seen them for 20 years. Like, I really hadn't seen them. It's not like, oh, I'm anti-EastEnders. It just hadn't come across me. So old. Like, and then I went and looked in the mirror and I thought, right, I'm the same age as them, or in the same age as them. They are so gotten old. Now, not old in lifespan terms. I'm on about just we have all aged. It's the age. Some of us seem immune to it like used to, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy, and they're still doing the same thing.
It's still to the point where, and I've been seeing a lot of this on social media, it's like, give Stacey a break.
Who's Stacey?
Stacey Slater.
Oh,
Who's
Stacey
Stacey?
Slater. I thought you meant, okay.
Poor Stacey. It's the second live episode where her love interest has died at the Vic, like meters away from each other.
But sometimes the storylines catch up on them, and I think Gail left Coronation Street recently, and they had to reference, I think they've married her 8 times.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, you can sort of let it go from time. Sarah, didn't
Yes.
bring you in here to talk about soaps, but while we're at it, do you watch soaps at all?
I am a big soap fan.
Which ones?
So I kind of left EastEnders. EastEnders and Emmerdale kind of came on the same time there the last
And
few years.
Emmerdale had a big week
and
as well.
I picked Emmerdale, and Emmerdale had a massive week. I
So
did miss it last
I
night,
glanced, and most of the week seemed to be a half-submerged
limo.
and it was
Yeah.
like dancing on ice after
Yeah,
that.
so Chaz drove into this frozen lake, and they were all getting out one by one. One girl fell in. No spoilers because it's already out,
Yes,
but
it's
she
a soap, it's
has
different,
died, I think. Another girl died in the car, and then another girl got stabbed or something in the car with something.
That's right, yeah.
And she ended up dying too. I think so. I missed last night. I was in London there last night, so I'm only back.
So she
So I
spoiled
missed
it
last
for you
night.
all during the week. Now, come in and spoil it for Sarah now.
Yeah.
'Cause, so we're all equal. Yeah, cleaning shop they were. There seemed to be an awful lot of emotion on it.
Yeah,
a caller says, I
brilliant.
did watch EastEnders, but it ended for me when they brought someone back to life. Is that not Bobby Ewing in Dallas? Or maybe they did it in EastEnders as well.
As in last night, they brought
I'm
somebody
not quite
back
sure
to life.
when it was.
Angie came back, but she was like, poor Sharon was not doing too good, and she saw like a vision of her mother, but she wasn't back to life.
All right,
Was
okay.
it Dirty Dan or somebody years ago? Did he?
Oh
come
wait,
back?
Cindy. Actually, because they referenced this in the episode, both Cindy and Kathy, so Ian Beale's wife and mother, both like came back from the dead. It's really funny. They're like, we're really alike. We both came back from the dead, and I was like, that's pretty funny actually.
Okay, right. So they take a hand at themselves a little
Aye.
bit. A caller says, I'm a big EastEnders fan. Yeah, I'm broken-hearted Martin Fowler was killed.
Oh.
I didn't see the live episode, but was going to watch it today.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I'm devastated at the news. I thought the fact that Stacey kept him waiting to talk about their current situation in such terrible surroundings was a bit much.
Oh, it was. And she's like,
I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience here where people are living in a world I know nothing about because your emotions are real here.
It is. Oh my goodness. She was like, I'm not leaving here till we sort this out. I'm going to get out of the building. And they stayed, and now he's gone.
And as always with the soaps, they chucked in a bit of humour. Was that through Sonia's birthday party?
It was. And you know what? Sonia, Bianca, and it was Lauren were so funny for the whole thing. There was a bit where Bianca went to Lauren, right, get down and have a look and see what's happening. And she's like, I'm not going down there. And then when Bianca is like, right, I'm going, let's do it. And she lifts up Sonia's dress. She's like, right, we're doing this now. And she fires the knickers back at Lauren. So she does. And Lauren's like, oh, and realises what it is. But it was really, really well done. So it was.
And I seen say Josh Widdicombe, the comedian, is it?
Yeah. So Josh Widdicombe originally.
Is that a fellow speaks like Zipper?
Yes. Yeah. He has a podcast with Rob Beckett, and Natalie Cassidy, who plays Sonia, was on it ages ago. And he said, oh, I was meant to audition for EastEnders and I couldn't do it. And she's like, oh, really? Who are you meant to be? This real awkward, nerdy guy. And she's like, that's my love interest. But actually turned out to be Reese, who killed his wife and kept somebody captive. And I just think that would have been so out of, if anyone knows Josh Whittakin, like he's, I don't
He
think
is
that would have been in his
funny.
range. Like,
It is kind of funny. Is there anything else you want to talk about EastEnders about?
Oh God, I could. I knew this. We can cancel around the Northwest. I'll sit and chat all day about it.
We're all right. I think we might come back to that as listeners text in. So if you've been watching the soaps, what did you think? Let us know. 08660 25,000. So just to read, it made the news. Long-serving EastEnder character Martin Fowler has died of cardiac arrest following an explosion at the Queen Vic. Martin's death came moments after he proposed to Stacey under the rubble of the pub. Okay, they do pull at the heartstrings, don't they? Right, now, there's a couple of American murders that are on Netflix. Is it the most recent one that you've watched?
Yeah, there's two most recent ones. One is Apple Cider Vinegar. It's kind of fictionalized story of the reality of what actually happened.
It's one that I think there's been word of mouth on, and it's driven it to the top of the Netflix charts.
There was a podcast a few years ago about this, and then obviously Netflix have come out and made a show about it, and it's done really well. There are fictionalized bits in it. They've obviously added bits in, but it's a really crazy story. It's about a girl called Belle Gibson, and she was like an influencer, or she wanted to be a big social media influencer. She was a compulsive liar, really. She came out and said she had a brain tumour. She was turning down therapies and like chemotherapy and stuff, and she had a way of living with and managing her brain tumour and her cancer by juicing and her diet and alternative therapies. She got quite big. She was, showing her story online. People were fully invested in it, and they were then turning down chemotherapy and doctor's advice and doing this too. She didn't have a brain tumour. She had nothing of the sort.
Whole thing was a fallacy.
The whole thing. And it just follows her story and the lies build and how she just got away with all these lies and nobody really looked into it. Then she was like lying. She was raising money for charities. Nobody got the money.
So, but also too, presumably it was quite dangerous because she, to maintain her life, she was turning down traditional therapies and promoting alternative therapies for a condition she didn't have.
And she really didn't give a hoot. She didn't care who she was hurting or who was going to die as long as she was raising. And she was loving the fame.
She was addicted to...
Totally addicted. Right. And she got book deals. She was endorsed by Penguin and Apple. And she really got away with it for so long until Penguin kind of looked into her. And there's a huge, big interview, a live interview done on 60 Minutes Australia, where she was interviewed and said, do you have a brain tumour? Well, at the time, I thought I did have one. And it all kind of blew up.
In that 60 Minutes interview, could she not resist doing it because of the celebrity of it, the exposure of it?
Well, she kind of had to. The lies were all starting to unfold. And she kind of had to do it, but even when she was doing it, she was still trying to lie her way through the interview. There's a clip where it's like she's saying, oh, what age are you? And she says, I'm whatever age. And your girl goes, well, are you that age? Because you're also meant to be this age. And then she says, yeah, but my childhood was bad and all this kind of stuff. And my brother had autism and her brother had just done an interview or just after and said, I don't have autism.
So the presenter had the receipts as well to counteract her during the course of it. So
really silly.
Because I saw the trailer for it and it seemed to be actual footage. Is it a blend of drama and actual footage or is it all drama?
I think it's all drama. I watched this last week, so I think it's kind of all drama, but they do have the facts coming in.
Yeah.
To it, and then they show at the end what actually happened. And she's kind of got away with it. Nothing's ever happened. The money was never given to the charities.
And we've seen examples of that in this country without mentioning names that I don't know if it's a delusion, desperation, or if it's just being a con person.
Yeah.
But, people sticking phone chargers up their nose and stuff, pretending that they're, in a hospital and to try and extort money. Is it desperation? I don't know what it is, but
I think it's a real
it's
addiction.
more common that, obviously this is a spectacular story that made a dramatisation, but it does happen a lot, and maybe even the catfishing stories are. It's someone who needs attention as well. Like
it's a real addiction to the attention, and you will do whatever it takes to keep getting it.
Because but going back 20 years, you asked young people, what did you want to do, right? They might say, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a scientist, I want to be an astronaut. But you ask young people now, and a lot of them say, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to be a TikToker, or I want to be an influencer. And they see it as a genuine... And I suppose for some people, they manifest that to the point whereby they'll do anything to achieve their goals.
Years ago when I was young, you came home from school and you watched The Den. You watched TV. Now they go on and they stick on YouTube, and it's YouTube Shorts, and it's real instant. And
it seems attainable.
It seems attainable because all these people are doing are playing with a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
You know, but it's an adult playing with a Barbie doll, and they think, this is great, I play with Barbie dolls, I can do this. You know.
It is. It is. I mean, we're going to have to dash there. I am. It's you want to support your children in whatever they want to do, but I mean, you know, it's 0.001% of anyone that can actually make a living.
But the people that do make so much money.
They do. Mr. Beast is a billionaire.
Did you watch his show?
No.
I watched that as well. Yeah, the Beast Games. I actually watched it with my weird because she really enjoyed it.
I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't watched it. I don't know. It's something about his person. I don't know. I don't know the man, but it's
very bland. Like there's no real personality here.
Right.
I don't really get it. But he was flaying money out to people. Like it was no bother. It was millions, and it was really showing a nasty side of people, and also a really vulnerable side of people, where people were believing other people were genuine people, and behind they were chatting to a camera saying, "I'm just."
But he has built tons of houses and wells and all that all over the world. Is it a philanthropist? But I don't know. I don't think there's anything terribly controversial about him. I just don't really relate to him.
Seen his proposal whenever he got engaged at Christmas?
No,
and it was him proposing to his fiance, and I don't know if it was his parents or her parents, but there's in-laws of somebody there, and they're all wearing the Mr. Beast pajamas. And I was like, come on now.
Was it at Christmas?
It was at Christmas.
Rally, get away with that.
No, it's not that
matching pajamas are okay.
I love
Christmas.
matching pajamas. I don't like trying to sell your merch whenever you're...
So if I had King of Content pajamas, you wouldn't dress in them, no?
You could just get pajamas with your face and make your family wear them.
Well, actually, now when
Happy
you say...
Christmas!
But come in, now you say it like that, it does feel a bit ick.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so that's apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
It is on my list. I'll have to... you're going to have to stop giving spoilers because I'm going to have to wait 2 weeks to watch it now. That's how long it takes me to
Well,
forget
you do
things.
know these are all things that are out there. It's not an ending.
I'm
but,
only joking, Sarah. I am only joking. Right, okay, so we'll have more from Donna Marie Doherty, who I hope has watched something else other than EastEnders Live 40th, and much more from Sarah Terry, the made-up mummy. You can check her out on our own socials as well, making waves there. Right, back with more from our guests and you at home or wherever you are after these messages.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
We love better value at Dunnes Stores. Toast to savings with a great selection of red and white wines, like Santa Rita Cabernet Sauvignon and Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc, now €10 or less. Treat yourself to Tato occasions, 90 to 125 gram range, now half price. Plus, save with the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Vision for next cap revealed. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, don't miss your first glimpse at plans for the next cap and what it could mean for your farm payment. Beef prices break €7 per kilo barrier. Latest on the row over ICBF star ratings. Farmers livid over forestry storm damage response. TB herd incidence pushes past 6% mark. And we have key advice on how to prepare for a pre-planning meeting with your county council in our planning permission special. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland.
The time is...
It is 20 minutes past 11. A caller says, I watched it and loved it, EastEnders. I thought it was very well acted and so sad when Martin died, but thought they portrayed it beautifully. I thought the whole Denise Jack story didn't fit and let down, just them on the sofa and all that was going on outside. The part showing Phil at the end too was also very poignant. Before everyone starts saying it was so far-fetched, etc., it is so planned. Overall, it was fab. I've never watched so much tripe in all my life. Stupid storyline, with such bad acting. Is this the best we have on TV that I'm paying my TV licence for? Well, you're not paying for this unless you're in Britain. You watched it. Don't watch it. People watch things to be angry, don't they? Can't believe Martin has died. I loved him in EastEnders. What a great episode. I was in tears. And more coming in on that. Keep them coming in. But now we have Sarah Terry still with us and our own Donna Marie Doherty and Mary Lane, who is in studio too. Hi, Mary.
Hello, how are you?
How are you getting on?
Not so bad. Busy few days.
I'm sure it is. I don't know why you've put yourself through this. It's just the love of the arts, I suppose, and the interaction and entertaining people. And actually, I do understand why you do it. Mm-hmm. It's the Letterkenny Music and Drama Group, of which you are a member and the director of Consent. It's in on Grianon Theatre, Friday the February 21st, Saturday the 22nd. So, Consent, what is it?
So it is. It's a legal drama at its heart, and it is surrounding an assault trial that is happening. Now it's set in England, so it's all within the British judicial system, and it is around a sexual assault case, but it is not set in the courtroom in the main. There's a small portion that is, but it is mostly set in the homes of the barristers who are prosecuting and defending the case. So it gives a really interesting perspective on, I suppose, what can go on behind closed doors. And how the handling of that trial can impact them too outside of the space of the courtroom? Absolutely. And I suppose because, particularly in maybe the justice system in the UK, it can be kind of heavily dominated by a class system. And we do see these barristers who are very, upper class, and they do have opinions on the type of people that they are prosecuting, defending, questioning, the people who are the complainants. So they might give weight to someone's evidence based on their class status. There's a cultural issue there. Yeah, how they look, how they dress, how they behave. What they sound like, and all of those observations are brought into these everyday conversations that are being held in the homes. I do a lot of interviews about stuff that's coming up in On Grianon Theatre, but not all of it, so I don't know everything that goes on there. Of course, was this a bit of a leap for the drama group taking on something like this? Now I know there is I know it's multifaceted, but it's hardcore stuff, right? In terms of sensitive subject matter, and it's not often. Often it's the Charlie and the Chocolate Factories or the Shreks, or which is fine. Did this feel like not taking a chance, but a bit of a leap? Yes, absolutely, and even like this play came on my radar last year when I was studying in college, and then when Plunkett invited me to take on a full-length play this year for the group, I thought, oh God, is this even risky to put this under his nose? Is this too far? And I sent it to him and he said, go for it. So it is a real privilege, I think, to be bringing these types of stories to the stage. It is great when we are doing our Shreks and all the fun stuff that does go on, but it is really good to get some real nitty-gritty drama in there also. But I think that also takes the audience engaging as well, right? Because sometimes the motivation for what you put on is based on what will fill the theatre. And I'm not suggesting for a second this wouldn't, but you know what I mean? You need the audience to engage in this as well, actually, because it's a little bit different. I know there's other stuff that's like this, but if you get where I'm coming from. It definitely does. And this play is set up in such a way that it will challenge the audience. Not directly, there's no audience participation involved. That was last year. But no, the audience will have their perceptions challenged, will have their own opinions challenged. But I suppose while it is dealing with a heavy subject matter and it's dealt very well, I think how we portray let's say the victims' statements and everything that comes into it, the play is also very funny,
Yes.
which I even had Patricia McBride of the theatre yesterday say, I can't imagine how
But that's
it's going
life.
to be funny.
But that is life.
But it's funny in a very everyday way.
Yeah.
The way that we inject humour into our everyday lives is where the humour comes from. So,
And that's the art of good writing, isn't it? It's to be able to feature very serious subject matter, but intertwine it with, humour or different emotions, isn't it? Because you have to respect the subject matter, don't you?
Absolutely.
But that takes good writing, good acting, good direction.
yeah, so, while the audience will feel the weight of certain areas of it, they will definitely leave feeling like entertained and not like, God, that was a terrible heavy night at the theatre. I don't think they'll leave like that. There will definitely be sort of a mixture of emotions coming out from it. But I suppose as well, just to let people know that we have the support of the Donegal Rape Crisis Centre and the Donegal Women's Centre, who have supplied us with lots of information that will be available in the theatre as well. Just if anybody is affected by any of the issues that they do see portrayed, because it doesn't just deal with sort of sexual assault. There are other topics kind of touched upon within it, and different people can find different things upsetting. So we hope that we'll be able to sort of create a bit of a safe space if anybody needs
and
it.
there's audience discretion in there ultimately as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it is on Friday, February 21st,
Tonight.
Saturday, February 22nd. That is tonight.
Tonight and tomorrow night, yes.
I am absolutely lost because I took 2 days off this week. And the key focus is about a key witness in this. Is that the thread throughout the?
That is the thread throughout the first act, and then I suppose lives start to unravel as a result during the second act.
Brilliant. Okay. So there are still some seats available for tonight, the 21st, and tomorrow, the 22nd. It's in On Green on Theatre. It's a play called Consent. Why is Justice Blind? And on it goes. I don't know if that's the title. Is it? Is she impartial, or is that's explanation?
Yeah, that's sort of when I suppose what we use the figure of Lady Justice, and she's blindfolded. So is
exactly.
Justice blind, or is she blinkered?
Or is she impartial, which references the scales?
Yes, yeah.
Understood. Okay, so anything else you want to add, Mary Lane?
Oh, just that I do class it as a real privilege to be able to bring this to stage and to work with a fantastic cast that we have.
Okay.
They really are playing a blinder, and even I had a lovely message from Geraldine Galligan, who plays that witness this morning, just saying how we do have the weight of this on our shoulders to be able to put it on stage with dignity and class, and hopefully that we can sort of be a voice, I suppose, to a lot of people who have experienced sexual violence and violence of any sort, and have had to go through this judicial system. And hopefully we do it justice.
Indeed, and as you say, it is based on the British system of justice too, which is very different to ours.
There would be differences,
but you never know what might happen. But it's still and we're also still very aware of it because we've seen cases in Ulster, in the 6 counties, or however the right way to phrase it, that we understand exactly what's going on here.
Absolutely.
All right, listen, thank you so very much. Get along to that, by the way, tonight. So much effort and planning and dedication goes into a show like this. It's in On Green on Theatre. It is Consent, and it asks, why is Justice blind? Is she impartial, or is she blinkered? And it's a powerful, painful, and at times funny tale or story or presentation. And get onto the box office right now. It's tonight and tomorrow night. What time is kick-off?
8 o'clock.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mary Lane. Back with more from Donna Marie and Sarah.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Shop Homeland's February mega deals now at your local Homeland or online at homeland.ie. Save 10% of Snickers workwear. Darwin Wood Effect Shed now €299, save €200. JFC 250 litre tipping wheelbarrow now €339, save €40. All this and more until the 23rd of February only. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
You've heard of the egg muffin, but have you heard of the gloriously delicious Centra high protein egg muffin with 27 grams of protein? The grind never stops, except to pick one up at your local store. Buy any Centra egg muffin and a 12-ounce Frank and Honest coffee for just €6. Centra. Live every day.
Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware are 27 years old, and to celebrate, we're offering up to 70% off everything in store. That's right, a massive birthday sale with up to 70% off all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Everything's in stock. Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware, up to 70% off birthday sale now on.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Whether they're on holiday, watching TV, eating a family meal.
Put it down.
It seems teenagers just refuse to put down their phones. But help is at hand.
Because Fundamania is in Derry.
Real thrills, real fun, outside in the fresh air.
Fundamania Derry at the Brunswick Movie Bowl from February 28th to March 17th.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands. Turn screen time into scream time. Details at fundamania.co.uk.
Okay, we are back with Sarah, Terry, Donna Marie. I'm going to come to you in a second, Donna Marie, if that's okay. American Murder, Gabby Petito. Is this the show that you watched, Sarah?
Yes, it's another one I watched.
I had the intention of watching this in consecutive nights and ended up just watching it all at the one time. It's it's one of these things, because when we talk about entertainment, it's kind of a recent tragic story, right? But at the end of the day, it is portrayed as entertainment, and this is very hard to switch off. I think it's really well put together. I don't know what you think, Sarah.
Yeah, it's very well done. It's really sad. It's it follows a girl, Gabby Petito. She was 22 and she had a boyfriend called Brian. She really wanted to be like a blogger, have a YouTube channel, a van life. So they kind of travelled around America, or they were to travel around America, kind of filming everything and showing it off. It takes a very dark turn. There's kind of domestic violence coming into play, whether it's him or her. They get pulled over. You know, it kind of shows this side of it, where you're thinking, is it her? She goes missing. Her mum can't get in touch with her. Goes on for a couple of days. And then they contact his parents and they don't reply to them. The police go to the house. The parents don't want to talk, but they say he is there. And her van is outside, but they don't want to say where she is or anything about her. So it got like a lot of traction online.
I'm really surprised I had never come across this story before.
I
because
remember it at the time.
Do you, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's in the late teens, early 20s of this century. Well, it sounds a real strange way to put it. But and it's one of those, because they were vlogging, because of police body cams and stuff, there's a lot of actual footage that they're able to intertwine in the story. A lot of what you've outlined there is actually shown right at the very beginning, and then they unravel how it all got to be there. But there is obviously access to the families, great access to the families to get their side of it, except his family. But also, as I say, very sadly, all the footage that she's recorded on their journey, and the sort of little interesting facial expressions that sort of tell a story throughout it.
Yeah.
You know, often his in the background
when
or hers.
When you watch her, she just seems so young.
And vulnerable.
And kind of innocent. And he doesn't look as innocent and he doesn't feel as innocent, but he's portraying himself very well. But you just feel she's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And in the end up, she only made one video. You know, there's only one video out there because it all ended so quickly.
And you can't judge in this situation, but like, you know, maybe I need to check myself as a parent because, you know, I think the mother had no contact with her for 10 or 12 days before she called the police. Like, and I'd be like, if I don't hear back in an hour.
Well, it was a couple of days, but then there was a message sent from her phone.
Yes, I suppose.
Which it turns out wasn't her at all.
Yeah, you're really crap at keeping spoilers, but...
Oh, I'm really bad, the facts are out there, though. I'm not.
And also, it is actually all outlined in the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Absolutely, you do know what you're watching straight away.
I'm just laughing because somebody's like, "Oh, I didn't know Martin died," and I was like, "Oh."
We're not
I can't internalize thoughts; they have to come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But as I say, all lesson aside, it's a terribly tragic story. She's incredibly vulnerable. He is what it is. It's very interesting, an insight into how when they are pulled over, it is a domestic violent incident, how the police treat that. I don't know if they did the right or wrong thing, because the default would be to think that they did the wrong thing, right? But given what the two parties involved were saying...
Yeah, he was the one with scratches on his face.
Well, that's it. And
So
she said
it was
she
very
was the
hard.
aggressor. And
It's the way his parents, though, it's the way they lied. I mean, from one parent to another, you would have to do something. You like that one set of parents are absolutely petrified and worried off their heads, and their son's there and they know something, but they're giving nothing away to the other family.
But we don't really know how much they knew either, do we? Or do we?
Well,
we do. And then there's, and it's another one of those documentaries, right, where there are we can't say because we could ruin your enjoyment of it, because sometimes you'd be waiting for something to happen, and we haven't done that yet, by the way, so do enjoy it, whereby some really remarkable things happen. Remarkable things happen. You said, really? Could that possibly be the case? And it involves a search. You'll know what I'm talking about, right? It's like, no way that happened, but it did. So it is portrayed in a way that it's very, very watchable. It's a terrible story, and Gabby is clearly a very vulnerable woman. And maybe it's a wake-up call for people, because sometimes I think people confuse obsession with love, control with caring, and stuff like that there. So maybe these shows are important because people realise that maybe, things aren't as rosy as they might believe. Okay, so I would strongly recommend that as well. It's American Murder, Gabby Petito.
Yeah.
Big endorsement from you, Sarah?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's only 3 episodes, so it's not going to take too much time.
No, and you won't watch them on consecutive
But you have
nights.
to keep.
You
have
will
to
have
keep
to
watching.
keep watching it. It is just set up like that. There's just no doubt about it. Donna of the Maries Doherty, or Donna Marie of the Dohertys. You've watched one other show other than the live EastEnders.
Yeah, to be honest, EastEnders has been consuming all week. But anyway,
oh, here's one. Black Snow's a good one. Actually, I found that it's an Australian one. By the way, just in case someone's looking for someone different, I'll try and remember the correct name of it and mention it a little later. So, sorry, what were you watching?
Yes, I've watched the first episode of Sick Note. It actually was out, I think, around 2016, 2018, that sort of time frame, but it's been recently added to Netflix. And what made me click on it was Rupert Grint's the main character, so it's Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. And in this, he is an absolute waster. So he works in an insurance call centre, just wild scabby, wild mooching off his girlfriend, and he's walking around in this sling.
This is kind of in Shaun of the Dead and stuff, isn't it? Because I haven't watched Harry Potter.
He's the redheaded fella.
Oh, right, okay, maybe it's a different show I'm on about.
And he
I know who you're on about now.
Walking around with the sling and all, but like there's nothing wrong with him. He just wants a sick note. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I have another appointment now, so I gotta go to that there. But whenever he goes in, it's revealed that one of the scans actually detected cancer.
Oh no.
So then he's like, oh my goodness. But before that was revealed, he was at his girlfriend's house playing the PS4, and she kicked him out. She's like, no, we're too different. But after it's revealed then he has cancer, she's like, oh my goodness, no, like, we'll get you through it. And everybody rallies around him, and he all of a sudden has this support. But then there's another twist, and then he has this decision to make. So he does. So it's
I think I can guess that
yeah.
one.
So it was a case of mistaken identity.
Yeah.
So then the rest of the series.
So he the rest of the series, he's deciding whether he keeps the lie and sustains his relationship and support network, or fesses up.
But I have to say, it actually is really funny. So it is. It's like real. I really enjoy the kind of British comedy. You know, like that kind of Channel 4 or E4 real sort of, it's just proper everyday stuff.
Yeah.
It has that kind of tone about it. I thought it was really good, and I also felt like I wasn't watching Ron Weasley. You know.
All right. Okay. That's another one for you. Back to you, Sarah. The Kardashians, right? They were apparently packing it in, and Disney obviously got the checkbook out. And
yes.
Are they still relevant? What's happening in the show now? Not literally the storyline, but.
Well, I think the thing is there is no storyline.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate show. I mean, I love it. Lots of people hate it, think it's trash TV, and don't like them as people. But I just think there's a lot to be said about escapism and just sitting there. And you don't actually have to pay attention the whole time. You know, you can be having a conversation and have that on in the background. I love watching.
Really? So you don't say people sitting on the couch, shh.
No, well, not me. Well, maybe a bit.
But I do know what you're on about. It's not like you're not gripped to the storyline. You can casually view
you
it.
just zone in and out in it. I love watching them. I love watching what they get up to. It's like how the other half live. the crazy silliness. Like, there's not an ounce serious about it, but I do love it. And like, it's the new season out now. It's episode 3, I think we're on. They're kind of following Kim through the Met Gala and wearing her tiny, tiny dresses. And then North was invited to sing for the 30th anniversary of
The Lion King.
So the last episode was The Lion King.
Yee's at that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He doesn't
whatever.
speak in it, but he's there in the footage, you know, and they seem to get on okay. You know, he's their dad, so they get on
That's fine.
nice enough. But there was a lot of controversy about wee North getting it. She's a 10-year-old girl. And even I was sitting watching it with my daughter, and she was like, you know, she's not a big singer. All the kids that really want to do that part, but it's not on her. It's the people that asked her to do it.
Right.
You know.
Okay. So
But it's really good.
She's probably a very talented, lovely young girl, but she would be better
she's only
singers.
10. She's a baby.
But
You know.
do you ever hear the whole thing with the Kardashians though? Is that they all have to go through like a humiliation ritual, and that was hers. Do you ever hear that theory? That
Is it reality entertainment? And like, all reality is entertaining, right? But is it scripted? Like, are the Kardashians, are they really controlling it? Is this really a real life soap opera based on reality? Or do you get a sense that it's fly on the wall?
It's pared a lot back. It used to be more fly on the wall, where you really got an insight into the gossip of the families and what was really going on. Now it's more so them going to events, getting ready, visiting this, visiting that. Scott's back in it. Like, I love Scott.
He's a dote.
You know, he's back in it. He's looking for an assistant. There's one fella who's a pure Egypt. You know, and it's like, he's definitely only there because it's for the Kardashians and he knows it's going to be filmed. But it's silly and it's funny, and I love watching it.
And all the sisters, they still get on. There's 3 really that I know of. There's Kim, Courtney, and the younger Kylie.
And Kendall.
I get really mixed up
And
with
the
all
mommy's
names,
Chris.
to be honest. And the momager is Chris,
Momager. We get a lot of momagers in here.
Momagers?
Yeah. Well, we get loads of young talent, and there's always a mum behind the back. No, your talent. No, you perform here. No, but
I'm Ella's momager.
It's just it is. You know, the structure of the family structure that
and
supports people in their ambitions
she made a huge
and dreams.
success out of them. Like they didn't go maybe the best way about it, but they're at the height of pop culture and you know, of fame.
And much of it started with a leaked home video. It's astonishing,
but
really.
That's
a $1 billion industry
the
spawned
whole
from
thing
that.
of where this started, the humiliation ritual. So that was Kim's. This was North's.
I think that you are down a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
But that's the beauty of the Kardashians. Like, you know, you have all the conspiracy theories, but then also sometimes it's just nice to watch something to scandalise it.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
You know.
It's everything can't be light or shade. There's grey and bubble gum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, the only programme I will watch for the pleasure of criticising is the Late Late Show. Everything else, anyone can watch at their pleasure. It's up to you what you do. But I insist on the right to be critical of the Late
And
Late
the Irish just love criticising the Late Late Show, don't they?
Well,
They
tonight
love
they've got
coming in
4
hard on it.
guests, and 3 of them either work for RT or did work for RT. You know what I mean? So that's a bit of a
Imagine having your own staff on as a guest on a show. My goodness.
And on that bombshell, we'll take this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The Renault Symbioz E-Tech Full Hybrid is a study in balance in an all-new family compact SUV, much like a symphony. The solar-based sunroof illuminates or darkens, and the smart infotainment system has Google built in. It's a soaring crescendo of a family hybrid. The new Renault Symbioz from 0% APR or €1,500 trade-in bonus. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. T's and C's apply. MFS, subject to lending criteria. Offers are limited. See Renault.ie.
Enjoy real savings this week at SuperValue. Like SuperValue Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak, now better than half price. Scan your card or app and get Nestle Cheerios, now €3. Fairy Non-Bio and Ariel 3-in-1 Pods 58-piece, now €10. And pick up Cushell Toilet Tissue 12-roll, now €9. Make real savings every week at SuperValue.
Leidich an lústeoran golóir bóthra tútha áitiúla ó 8 go 60 km an uair. Tis go mín tionchar ag an luas rian de himpistí marafacha, cumadig seo gach duine atá an mór níos sábháilta. Tá an leidú seo cuire bhaim ag dúdarrás áitiúil na bóthra iad ceantar. Mulig an luas son na cúise. Tilla ólis ag gov.ie /speed limits. Teachtarach ó Rialtas na Hen.
Jim McGuinness's Donegal are back on the road this weekend in Division 1 of the Alliance League. Sitting top of the standings with 3 wins from 3 games, Donegal will be in confident mood ahead of their trip to Galway on Sunday. Join me, Oisín Kelly, and former Donegal star forward Brendan Devaney for full match commentary from the 3:45 throw-in at Pearse Stadium, Salt Hill.
Coverage of Donegal action in the National Football League is with Highland Motors. Be one of the first to test drive the European Car of the Year 2025, the new Renault 5. Book your drive down memory lane today.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
And the weather forecast. Rain is clearing eastwards now as this afternoon approaches, followed by brighter conditions with sunny spells and scattered showers and temperatures of 10 to 3 degrees or 10 to 13 degrees. I beg your pardon. Now, join John Breslin live around the northwest from 12 to 2:30 this afternoon. He's over at Cosgraves, just across from us here at the mountaintop, Cosgraves Centra. And, you know, he's going to have the usual mix of chat, newsy bits and music, of course. Michael Murphy will be in store and giveaways and food tasting. And I'm reliably informed that John Breslin is actually going to try and see if he can knock Michael Murphy over with a head to the chest. So that'll be interesting to see if he's able to do it. I don't fancy his chances. He might come back with more than a sling. Right, okay. You've heard of men in sheds. What are men in a shed or a man in a shed? Gary Ramsey from Letterkenny. What is going on?
Yes, Greg, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Do we speak to you live from the shed?
Yes, I'm actually in the shed now at the minute.
Listen, this is an amazing thing. Yeah, and we'll have a wee tour of it in a sec. This is something that kicks off actually very, very soon. You're on the Market Square. A shed has been placed on the Market Square, and you are going to live in that shed with a view to raising money for the Donegal Hospice. So how did you come up with the idea?
I've always wanted to do something for the Donegal Hospice, and before Christmas I was just trying to think of something different, and this idea came into my head and I ran with it, and here we are.
And how do you go about getting a shed? How do you go about getting it on the Market Square? That's the logistics side of it.
I rang about a few companies looking for a shed, and I rang Dealside Garden Furniture, and he said anything I want, anything I need, he'll sort me out. And give him his dues. He was here yesterday and put up the shed, and the shed's great job.
You, like all of us, and we don't have to go into it, Gary, nor will we, have your own personal experience of the hospice. But I think really when you come away from it, it leaves its mark often, obviously, with the loss, but also with the work that the hospice and the staff do in making some of the most difficult times in our lives as bearable as is possible. And that's what's moved you to try and raise money for the Donegal Hospice, Gary.
Yeah, like you say, it's through difficult times, but when you think about it, like they are amazing what they do. They're unbelievable what they do, and when you like you say, when you walk away and you see the work they've done, it's unreal. It's unreal. So it's just appreciation and thanks to everybody. Just thank you.
Right, give us a look around this shed then. I'll try and describe it to the listeners listening on Radio Land. It's a lovely shed, no doubt about that. Well, what's the inside like? What have you got? Have you tidied it for us?
No, I have no room to tidy anything. I don't have the room.
All right, okay, so it's the basics.
Yeah, there's my bed.
Okay.
That's my bed there, a blow up mattress.
It's not, I'll tell you, you're not bringing anyone in with you anyway. It's narrow enough. You've got your water, you've got your baby wipes. Right, that answers a question I had. We'll not go into that then. There's buckets and everything. So what about your neighbours that you'll have over the weekend, if you know what I mean, out and about on the street? Oh, you've got a Portaloo as well. Brilliant.
Yeah,
fair play to Watson's Hire, John and the crew down there sorting you out, I'm sure. So, Are you going to sleep at night or fundraise at night when people are coming out of the pubs and clubs, or what's the plan?
No, if you can actually see here, I've got a cage. There's a barrier around me.
Okay.
So what I'll do there at night is I'm going to lock the cage, hopefully try and sleep. But that's the plan. There will be a lot of noise and a lot of activity, but that's part of the challenge.
Yeah,
there's
for
my
sure.
view there now, look.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view. So a full week in the shed. How do you raise funds for this, Gary? Because that's what it's all about. How do people support you?
They can support down here. I have a bucket here, and there's a QR code.
Just making sure you put the money in the right bucket. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I'm sure you see me first.
Don't be putting stuff in random buckets, folks. No, he does have a Portaloo at the back. Don't worry about that. So you can donate money there, and it's for the Donegal Hospice. And this is an endurance test. It's a week's a long time, and you have some small comforts there, Gary, but you're not really that terribly protected from the elements, i.e. cold and stuff. And, you're going to be in there in public eye for a week. So fair play to you. It's a good one, and it raises awareness and hopefully loads of money as well.
Yeah, please God. The money's flying in already, so please God, keep it coming.
All right, well, you know plenty of people too. You'll have plenty of company anyway, a man about town like yourself.
Everybody's peeping and waving to me. Yeah.
Good stuff, Gary. All right, give him a bib, folks. All right, take care, Gary. We might touch base with you during the week, see how you're getting on. That's Gary Ramsey, a man in a shed from 12 noon today, although he's in it now already, until 12 noon next Friday, confined to a small space, just popping around the back for a hain or doe. And you can donate as you pass, money all going to the Donegal Hospice. All right, very good indeed. Fair play. It's a good idea. Right, now, hey up, Chuck and the Marvels. This is from our good friend Kevin, of course. They don't make them like that anymore. Jack and Vera always guaranteed some shenanigans there. Martin's died after getting his allotment back from, as far as I know, Stacey, who's got a smile as big as a mile. Don't watch the soaps as much now, but enjoyed the old shows on BBC4 recently with Den and Angie. But afraid Corrie is big in Canada, EastEnders in the US, Fair City in Scotland, God love him. I don't know about Emmerdale, but back when we watched it, when the farm was with Annie, Jack and Joe, who I found was in Doctor Who, as you do. But if ever they wanted to cull the cast, a plane hits the woolpacker, remember that. Runaway train in Corrie. The last thing, well, I think it wasn't a train, I believe it was a... Tramline, that's right. The last thing Dev saw was a train hurtling off the tracks, making a beeline for the corner shop. More to Dev's shock, the train was actually on time. Enjoy the shows, Kevin and Dunlow. Thanks, Kevin, as always. Right, kind of pregnant, Sarah Terry.
Yes.
I was told you can't be a little bit pregnant, but anyway, there you go.
Well, she is a bit as well, yeah.
It's a, even by the title, I imagine we aren't talking hardcore Steven Spielberg production.
No, it's like a chick flick / comedy. I'm not a big chick flick fan. I hate them. Like, I'm a horror person or comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did enjoy this, and I'm not even, I think it's Amy Schumer who is in it. I'm not even a big fan of her, but takes a lot to make me laugh out loud sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sitting watching TV, my husband, he's laughing away, and he goes, "You didn't even laugh." I was like, I did find it funny, I just don't laugh out loud. This actually made me laugh out loud. It follows two childhood friends. They grow up, one gets pregnant, and Amy Schumer is the other friend. She's feeling a bit jealous, a bit left out. She tries on a bump and ends up going to a class, meets a friend, and then she kind of has to continue this on. And it's like a love story. It's a love story. I won't give the end away, but obviously she tries on the bump very early on, so you do know that. It's very light-hearted.
It's actually on the poster. It's kind of misplaced, so you know it's not real.
Yeah. It is very funny. There's real good funny
And is that
parts in
because
it.
it's kind of relatable, in terms of maybe parenting, romance, or what's the story?
I think it's written quite well, because some of them comedies you put on and you're like, oh, not another one. It's not funny at all. It's just very bland. But they do have... it's another guy in it called, if I can see him here, Will Forte. He was in Last Man on Earth. If you've watched that, a comedy. He's so funny. He's part of the big SNL family. Like, he's really funny, and he really makes it. It's real silly, like totally unbelievable things happening.
And was this a once-off, or maybe you are changing into a chick flick fan?
Oh, definitely not. No, no, definitely not. But I was just free to watch anything, and I was doing other stuff, so I just stuck it on the background. And then my husband came in to watch something with me, and he was going to change it, and he was like, "It's one show." He says, "How can I change it? You're actually not looking at your phone while you're watching it."
There you go. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, maybe I do actually find this funny. Maybe this is actually good." Very funny, real laugh out loud moments.
Feels
which
like
I
this
love.
was a coming of age moment for you. I
Yeah,
don't
maybe.
know.
Yeah. No, I'll never be a chick flick fan.
Right.
But no, very good, very funny, very light-hearted again, and yeah, good
Some of them
rewatch.
can be really like. I think it's a genre that you should have a go at, because some of them can be really quite funny. And I think people have a view of what a chick flick is. 9.5. 4 Weddings, a Funeral, that kind of stuff, right? But sometimes they can be really well written. That one with Sydney Sweeney, is it Sydney Sweeney? She was in one recently about the weddings and stuff. That it's really funny. You'll enjoy that.
Okay.
Can't remember what it's called. Right, okay, let's finish with a podcast. What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to Two Hot Takes, and this is it's just pure. If you're in a mood to be given out, this is what you need to listen to. So it's this girl, and she always has different guests on, and what she does is she goes on Reddit forums, and people air all their dirty laundry,
They
and
really do.
they do, and they discuss it.
You can buy
and
some of it.
yeah, and you give like a verdict on who was in the wrong. So like you get the classics. My mother-in-law wants to wear white to my wedding. What will I do? My sister is trying to sell my baby. Like
Brilliant. So they unashamedly go to Reddit.
Go to Reddit, bare their soul, and they have a chat and a gossip about it, and it's just good. You know, I always think if you're having a bad day, you can listen to that and be like, you know what? It's not as bad as
And
theirs.
it's like light-hearted, is it?
It is
For
lighthearted.
the
Now,
most part.
sometimes the themes get a bit heavy, but I usually just skip them on and get back to, like, there was one where a sister-in-law she didn't like, so this girl was married to another girl's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So the sister-in-law and the sister always butted heads, and the sister-in-law got fed up that the girl didn't want to have a baby, and she like had a dog instead. Excuse me. So she took the dog and put it into an adoption agency.
Oh my word.
And it was the whole trajectory out there. Like, it's all shenanigans. It's just
People are weird.
Yeah,
and
it
do
is.
strange things. Right, so that's
Two Hot Takes.
Two Hot Takes.
Yeah.
Spotify?
Spotify.
I haven't listened to an episode of that for the crack. I do like clever premises,
Mm.
especially when you think, wish I'd have thought of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's grown so much now. People actually write into it. So.
And Sarah Terry, Made Up Mummy, how's life in the online space going for you? It's hard to juggle everything, isn't it? Because, you know, you're
Really
a busy
is, yeah.
person.
Yeah.
You do your acting, your singing, your
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but you still find space enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm very silly on it. There's nothing ever serious. I do a little bit of fashion, a bit of makeup, a bit of, going out on a Saturday night.
Relatable
You know,
content.
yes,
It's
and
all
with the
about
family
relatable
and stuff.
content.
And then I'm also in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with LMS as well. So it's
When does that start?
That's on. I think it's 2 weeks. from the
Okay, we'll
4th to
double
the
check
8th.
that. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll remind
I'm
people
playing
before it
Mrs.
happens.
TV.
I thought I was going to
Excellent.
see that on Thursday coming. No.
I don't think so.
And she's in it.
One of us.
Well, one of you needs to
Somebody
turn up.
always keeps me right there.
And they aren't here. All right, listen, brilliant stuff. Thank you so very much, Sarah. The
Thanks so
hour
much for
goes so
having me.
quick, and I
Yeah.
feel I didn't get to talk to you enough, but we got some great recommendations from you. And Donna Marie Doherty, as always, thank you very much indeed. And I hope EastEnders Into the Future lives up to your clearly high expectations.
Bring him back.
Stay tuned. John Bresson's around the Northwest. He's out and about actually at Cosgrave Centre, just across the road from us, with some great giveaways and conversation and music, of course.